Hello, hello. It's really, really, really early in the morning right now, which is why I will not be having a beer. I only have beers when it's dark and I'm winding down to go to bed, but I didn't go to bed last night. I couldn't sleep because Conspiracy Queries is coming out and COD got it done before Christmas, which is awesome. And he was going to send it like 11 and then 12, and he's working, and I'm just up because I want to watch it. And then I started really thinking about something I wanted to talk about in a stream. This is a stream to watch. Of all my streams, and I've done some good ones. I've done some rambly ones. This one is one to watch because I'll give you useful information and the chat will be fun because there's not going to be a lot of people. Right now there's 20 people. There's usually 3,000. I'll give you useful information. So please hit the like button and share. I'm kicked off most of social media. And it's important for us to share what we like. It's how you beat the Wizards. All right, let's just get it going. It's already up to 135, 157. Well, that's cool. Stream of the year, fam. I'm telling you right now, I don't want to brag because I was thinking a lot about something real quick, and then I'll get into this. By the way, it looks like I have bitch tits, but like, look at that. So that in this lighting, it looks like I have like bitch tits, but they're strong tits. So I don't want to hear any of that like, oh, you having soy? No, that's like muscular tits. I do kind of look like what's that guy's name from Fight Club who had bitch tits? I look like I have bitch tits. All right. Oh, I'll show you the Apple thing in a second. All right. I didn't sleep. So a lot of you guys do a great service for me, and you send me applicable Bible verses for what I was just talking about or what you think could help me. Because I'm a very devout Christian who is very bad at reading the Bible because it makes me feel dyslexic how they turn the words around and stuff. The meaning is very crystal clear to me, but I literally prefer children's Bibles, and I'm just being honest. But anyway, one of you guys sent me something about being humble, and in response to me saying that I'm one of the funniest people in the world. And I really thought about it, and I just want to tell you why I don't think it applies, because I'm not arrogant. I'm a comedian, right? And I was thinking about how humility is so important for art, right? Because by far the most influential musician who's ever lived is Bach. Bach didn't play for money. He didn't play for crowds. He played for God. He was a church organist. He pretty much structured the 12 notes in the well-tempered clavier. You know, his grandson, PDQ Bach, got a lot more famous, but kind of sucked. So I'm thinking, like, was I being arrogant? How can I be humble? But no, and I'll tell you why. Because it was funny. I was being funny. Like, when I say I'm the funniest person in the world, there's a good percentage of the people that laugh, which is what my craft is. Therefore, it didn't cross that boundary of being like a boastful braggart because I was doing my craft. Okay, so let's get into it. I know I think too much. I get it. But, oh, hey, Netherlands. It's okay, guys. I'm here, says Dante Pelosi. All right, I got to stay focused because this is a good one. And Conspiracy Queries hits hugepianist.com in a couple hours. That's why I didn't sleep at first. And it's $10. It's how we can be ad-free, and it's wicked funny. And I will put it up eventually for free, so don't feel pressure on that. But I think you're really going to like it. All right, so the question I want to ask you guys is, what is a wizard? What is magic? And what are spells? The only person two people that I've seen touch on some of these concepts are Stefan Molyneux and Vox Day. We'll talk about modern wizards and magic. Most people don't understand that it never went away. That we can use terms like marketing techniques or rhetoric. My dad has his PhD in rhetoric, and for people that say, well, that's not you, me and my dad were extremely close, and he taught me every bit of the wizard ways. I know what it is. And there's dark wizardry and there's light wizardry. And I'm really into truth because it makes your life way better. George, please don't. Thank you. Come here, buddy. Come here, buddy. Come here, Georgie. Good boy. And don't eat wood, buddy. You know it's bad for your stomach. And so, ironically, there's a spell to make you not see the spells. That's why they call it rhetoric. You know, the art of persuasion. That's the art of saying words that make people do your bidding that aren't true. That's all that is. And, you know, in movies and stuff, wizards are seen as what? You know, people don't think wizards exist because they all have like, George, hey, George, stop it, come here. You're not allowed back over there now. You just broke my trust. Maybe in a little bit. What do they have? They have big, crazy wizard hats, and they have long robes, and like these weird, ornate canes, and that's how they're depicted. But in reality, most wizards don't look like that. But wizards are so good at being wizards that they can dress like wizards, and you don't even notice. Like, what did we just describe? A giant, ridiculous hat, a long gown, and a cane. Okay, that's a wizard. And for those of you just listening on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast at Why Don't They Laugh is my podcast, it's a picture of the Pope. He has a giant star, or he has a giant like symbolic hat that's absurd. He has a long robe and a cane. And he utters words in magical languages that get millions of people to bow down and give him money and power. That's a wizard. And if you can't see that, you don't understand wizardry. This guy right here is a wizard. And I'll show you a bunch more wizards. George, come on, man. Come on. You want to just learn your lesson and eat it? And then, you know? All right, buddy. It's your day. It's your day, bud. All right, let me check in on the chat. Oh, man, we're almost to 1,000 people. That's hysterical. So let's talk about good magic and bad magic. I think it's all bad, kind of. But I kind of call pure, untouched, true statements. I don't want to call it magic because I have a real bad feeling about them. I don't like magic. I stay away from magic as much as possible. But there's a real, it's the only way to combat dark magic. And Trump has mastered it. I'll get to Trump, Obama, Mandela effect, Jordan Peterson. We'll touch on the moon, even though I'm not going to do the normal thing. I'm just going to talk about why these things are important. And I started obsessing about this at dinner last night. It was my wife's birthday, and I got to take her whole family out, and she was the happiest person in the world. And I look over, and I see my son standing on a chair, and I realize my son has wizard instincts. And he doesn't... George is going inside. Just chill out for 1 second. George, not cool, dude. Not cool at all. Hang on. See, George doesn't understand wizardry because George is a dog. Hang on, come here, buddy. 1 second. 1 second. Yeah, George, hey. All right, you're good. All right. And my son's not one of those attention-hungry kids. He keeps to himself. You know, he's sweet. He just likes monster trucks. He can just chill out. He doesn't like cry in public to get people to look at him and stuff. So this isn't about attention. This is literally, he has my gene. There's a gene in my family. My dad's a rhetoric professor. I'm a comedian podcaster. My grandfather was a lead miner, but a famous storyteller. It literally is genetic, I think. And so I look over and I see him doing that. And guess what? Boom, peekaboo, right? What's up next? He gives props to God. Then what does he do? Kills a joke. Everyone's dying. I look over and I realize my son is killing a set. He knows like, he used like 8 words and everyone's clapping and laughing. And it was, fortunately, it was truth wizardry. because it wasn't based in deception and lies. And I'll make sure that he doesn't go down those dark roads because he has it in him. Look at this. Stands on a chair. Where's Walter? Who knows? Boom, there he is. Oh, what's up, Jesus? Much love to Jesus. Guess what? I also got jokes. And boom, crushing. And so I started thinking about the paths of wizardry and how to not become evil. Because it's a fight. You know, like I'm going to talk about Robert Moses, who is one of the most powerful men you've never heard of. And he is he's one of the most powerful wizards I've ever seen. And yeah, he's a Jew. And he's twisted and power hungry and greedy. And yes, he is a Jew, but they're not all Jews. Like I just showed you the Pope, he's not Jewish. Otto von Bismarck, I can get in. Okay, I did that on purpose just to show you a form of wizardry. See, if you know I'm being funny, I don't consider it magic or bad. But what I just did was persuasion, and I used the upside down to do it. I was trying to make you think that all wizards are Jews by saying the opposite. And once you say, I'm not doing this to trick you guys. I'm doing this to arm you because it's everywhere now. And when I was a kid, people, yes meant yes, no meant no, a lot more than it does today. So when I say, listen, Jews aren't all wizards. Like what I just told you is Jews are wizards, except I got to keep the moral high ground and not be called anti-Semitic. And I actually look good and virtuous and Me Too moment. It's how it's done. It's how you transmit an idea while at the same time making yourself look like the exact opposite. Jimmy Savile, Bono, all these guys. You know, it's like they're over saving Africa. No, they're destroying it. It's the opposite. It's the upside down, right? And it's how magic works. Someone just said this is turning into a cult. That's the problem with text. I can't hear your tone. My first instinct was to ban, but if you're an OG bear, that could have been really funny because that was like an ongoing joke. All right, so one of the things that so use this to protect yourself. Do not use this to get power or resources because not only just because that's wrong, it ends horribly. Hillary Clinton has one of the most tragic lives I've ever seen. Hillary Clinton is proof that the devil is real and he's kind of hilarious. The devil took Hillary Clinton's blind ambition and yearn for power, married she's a lesbian, power hungry, cold hearted, no interest in being mom, but wants to be control of the world, right? She ends up with Bill Clinton, a guy who's constantly embarrassing her by his just fornications. Just the worst possible match for a super power hungry lesbian. Gets her almost to the finish line. And then who gets the presidency? Trump, the most outrageously masculine and just colorful character. That's what happens. Hillary Clinton is a high-level wizard and used it all for dark. And I don't know if Trump is into truth or he just knows how to do it. I can't figure that part out, but I'll get to that in a second. This isn't going to be at all political, by the way. One time on an old podcast, I analyzed who the funniest candidate was. And it was not political. I went through Cruz and Hillary and Trump and everybody and Bernie. And at what points are they funniest and at what points are their weaknesses? And people seem to really like it because it wasn't about threats and power and communities and nationalities. And it's just about the art. And this is my expertise. And listen, I get a lot of you guys saying yo, Big Bear, I subscribe to you because you keep it real and you talk like I think and you're funny as hell. But yo, man, you're not a scientist. And I get that. I will talk about what I'm for sure an expert in, which is this. But just know that when you're an expert at this, what I'm explaining to you, you understand everything. Because you see the person saying it, why they're saying it, what words they're using. I don't want to embarrass people sometimes at how many steps ahead I am at what they're saying. This is not boastful. This is actually kind of horrifying to exist the way I am. Like, to be able to predict things, people call you crazy, they come true, and they don't high five you, and they then call you crazy again for your current thing that then comes true again. It's like people will try to manipulate me and mess with my head, and I'm like, it's as if they're saying the truth. And I don't want to embarrass them sometimes. I'm just like, yeah, you're worried about me. Got it. I was raised by a master wizard. And my mother is so speak truth at all times to a ridiculous degree, to the like that contradiction allowed me to see through the matrix. And I see that now. My dad is a master wizard. My mom is like, this is my hand. Like, she's the most straightforward, no nonsense, no ability to deceive person you've ever met in your life. So that's why that hot front and cold front, kind of like what makes rain, is what made me. And I'm not bragging, guys. Last night, me and Amy had the best day and night, and she was so happy. And then, but the very end of the night, we're chilling, and we're just trying to watch like a Netflix documentary about gardening. And we start watching documentaries, and she's like, "You look like you're in pain." And I'm like, "Baby, this is all propaganda. Like, this isn't about teaching us how to garden. What this is they're planting seeds about global warming that doesn't exist, a hoax. They're trying to take away farmers' rights." And she's like, "How do you see all that?" I'm like, "I see that all the time." It's almost like having another sense that never shuts up and alienates you from friends and family and stuff. It's insane. But if I can just kind of show you guys, Molyneux and Vox have the same thing. Gavin McGinnis has it on a level. I talked to Gavin a decent amount, but I don't know him well enough to know. But a lot of these guys, Richard Pryor had it. George Carlin had it. Lenny Bruce had it. And he died with a heroin needle in his arm in jail. It's not like a gift. But I'm going to show you guys some stuff. Because Vox got rattled in his live stream tonight. Not rattled. That dude doesn't get, like, rattled. But, like, the Mandela effect. And he's, like, computer programmer logical and Christian and not into... He doesn't go down the same rabbit holes as me. Like, he entertains that the moon landing might not have happened, and he respects people that question things. But he's not a conspiracy guy. And the fact that Berenstain Bears, you remember the Berenstain Bears? The fact that it's now Berenstain, A-I-N, and not Steen, he's like, I corrected people on how they pronounced it. Like, I know it was Berenstain. He's like, some of these could be faulty memory. Some of these just could be like weird tricks of the mind or whatever. He's like, but he's a high IQ verbal visual learner. He remembers how it was spelled, how it was pronounced. He would correct people or like debate with friends about how it was pronounced. He's like, that's real. He's like, that's an illusion. Something is going on with that. That's psyops or something. And I'll show, and they start talking about the big lie. Why do people do this big lie? We didn't go to the moon. You can say whatever you want, but like the reason we do these massive lies, it's high level wizardry. Because once you commit a population to an obvious lie and have generations just like dig it in, they aren't in control of their own mind and they're easily susceptible to more lies. Like, for example, the earth being flat, right? I started going down that rabbit hole. I started doing research. If it's true, I don't know if I'm capable of ever believing it. And I'm just being straight up honest. There's some compelling arguments that the earth is flat, and I'm being sincere. There's like geometrical arguments where at certain heights you shouldn't be able to see certain distances, and I can't possibly believe that's true. And I don't think the earth is flat. I think the earth is round, and I believe in the heliocentric model of the solar system. But like, when you're talking to pilots about why when they're landing the plane, the earth isn't moving at 700 miles an hour. And then, of course, this is why big lie is important. People have the trigger. They go, oh no, the whole atmosphere is moving. It's like, that's not how friction works. It's not how friction works. And it's like, oh yeah, but. And so I saw little signs that something's going on with this, that there's lies happening. I am not capable of thinking the earth is flat. It would destroy. I would have to, I don't know how that would be possible. I would have to go to space and see it myself to ever believe that. That isn't something I'm capable of. So, but hypothetically, if that's true, I don't think it's true, by the way. So I'm using a hypothetical that we both agree on, so the moon thing doesn't freak anybody out. Let's say the Earth really was flat, and they convinced people of a heliocentric model, right? That instead of what you perceive, which is a flat world that doesn't move, and the sun and the moon go up and down and follow tracks, and oddly the moon doesn't change its side, and science is explaining that the rotation, it's weird, right? So you see this world and you believe the complete opposite, that we're in fact spinning aimlessly in a void on a ball, and the sun isn't moving, it's actually stable. I actually believe that. But what if that wasn't true? And they got everyone to think that way. At that point, they have mental slavery, because high level slavery is mental. You know, the chain stuff was bad branding. It's all about getting a population. And I'll show you examples right now. Okay, let's get into some fun stuff. I'm 20 minutes in. The sun is not stable. I get it. The sun moves in a galaxy. I didn't even want to bring that up because I don't think the earth is flat. I believe in a heliocentric model. I'm just using that. Please, look at this from an artistic point of view of wizardry, okay? Because the irony is people are under so many spells that they can't even discuss these topics without getting emotional and angry. So that's why we can really learn something if we all kind of set that aside. Like, here's one. Who was the Publishers Clearinghouse spokesperson? Anybody in the chat know? He would come to the door holding the big check. Who is the celebrity? I love this shit. Yeah, me too. Does anyone know who that celebrity was? Ed McMahon? Ed McMahon? No, it wasn't. They say it was not Ed McMahon. Even on Johnny Carson, they mocked Ed McMahon with a giant check and were like, I'm not Ed McMahon. It wasn't Ed McMahon. Ed McMahon was never the spokesperson he's never been to the door with a check. He was never a spokesperson. This is the Mandela effect. And there's always a backstory, right? There's always something to get you out of it and make you doubt yourself. It's a psyop. It is. This is a way to control people. Because Ed McMahon was, in fact, a spokesperson for another one of those things that didn't have giant checks and no one knows about. You see what I'm saying? It's how you seed doubt. It's how you create a group of slaves. Who was it? They didn't have one, or they never even had a celebrity. You see what I'm saying? Test, observe, and act. And I know how flawed minds are. Like, I know that eyewitness testimony isn't great testimony, but at the same time, do you remember how many people were sitting in JFK's car when he was shot? According to the film, it's 6. According to all the museums, they're all cars of 4. According to the Warren report, it was 4. Clearly, it's 6. Right? These are things that make you just go what in the hell is that? Like Berenstain Bears. I know it was Berenstain Bears and not Berenstain. 6. Look at all look up some of the stuff on your own. And I'll show you some stuff about the moon landing right now. It's not about whether it happened or not, but let's look at this from a psychological perspective. And for people to think, I have some close friends I'm a little disappointed in that treat me like I'm stupid for this stuff. This is one reason why I might sound a little arrogant sometimes. Not arrogant, but you don't understand what I'm saying unless you know how smart I am. I talk dumb. I talk sometimes like a surfer blonde bimbo. I'm hey, no way. So what's physics? I'm really smart. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because if you don't understand that, you're not going to learn something important here. And ironically, kind of like how that quote about, technology advanced enough will appear as magic. It's like that with stupid people. I know people that have low IQ. They're good dudes. High intelligence sometimes seems like noise and madness, and it makes them angry. And that's something that you have to deal with it's not like a blessing. It just isn't. It's like people think that like I have issues with like remembering to wear my shoes sometimes and shit. Like I'm way too cognitive sometimes to be a happy person. So I've had to like work on it. It's not like these aren't brags. And I'm explaining this to the people that have low IQs and think it is. Because maybe I can get you out of that mentality. Because ironically, like I've had people like, hey man, I have a 160 IQ and I've never agreed more when you talked about the isolation of it and like how it like sometimes affects you and your wife's conversations and stuff. I'm like, yes, the irony is you don't understand what I'm saying if you're stupid. All right, so anyway, let's look at the PSYOP that was the moon landing. So I'll show you one, and I'm not going to talk about any of the normal stuff. Okay, moon rock given to Holland by Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin is fake. So Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, and this is according to the Telegraph in the UK. This isn't just some random blog. That's a true story. That's checked out. It's all good, you know. And this is like a way to drive people insane, right? So curators at Amsterdam's where the rock has attracted tens of thousands of visitors each year discovered that the lunar rock valley was in fact petrified wood. Xander blah 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 blah. All right, so it's a fact, right? And this is why sometimes, like, I always like to show everybody full context, all the other sides as much as I can, unless I don't know it at the time. But there's something going on with it because I posted that and people were already going like, well, there could have been trees on the moon. Some people were joking. Some people weren't joking. They're like, well, that doesn't mean anything. Okay, if a group of wizards, and by the way, we talked about what wizards look like, right? We talked about what wizards look like. They wear weird outfits and crazy hats. You guys remember what wizards look like, right? And I'm not trying to sound condescending, but astronauts are wizards. Okay. They're in plain as day when you see it. All right. So, because they can't make up a completely false world. That's the problem with magic. It requires mimicry. It requires an upside down. It requires hiding in plain sight. You can't do magic unless you tell people. You have to put the bitten apple on everything to show everybody the fall of man as you fall man. That's why I filled in the apple. I use apple, but see, I know that the world revolves around symbols, right? I markered in the apple because it's not about politics or someone, this product, that product. I like Apple products. I hate the apple. I hate that they make me have that symbol on there of a bitten apple because it's literally Eve's temptation that was the fall of man. And they're shoving it right in our face. So what do? I make it a full apple because that's how you battle magic, right? You understand? It's symbols, symbol. The upside down Christmas tree, the flag, right? The gay flag, the rainbow flag was taken from Noah for a reason very specifically. These are all mimics. They're all upside downs. And I'm trying to teach you guys because A, I'm fascinated by it. And B, this is our way out. This is our way to not ruin our civilization. This is our way to have a prosperous family. I don't think we're in the end times. I think when you're in the end times, you don't know it. And I don't want to be in the end times. I want my kids to have the good fight just like I had. And when the end times comes, all good. I don't think we're there. And I think it's a cop-out to say we are so that we don't have to figure out the enemy. And the enemy's Satan. That's why it's not the Jews or the Jesuits or it's Satan because they can occupy anybody. I've seen them occupy I've seen Satan occupy some of the most brilliant, good non-Jews. You see what I just did again? I'm planting seeds that it's really Jews. Like when you do this big defense of somebody, it plants the seeds that it's really that person. When you go, I'm here to protect black people from white people. I will give them food and blankets. What that is that saying black people are not equal to white people. That's saying black people are animals. Black people are still slaves. Do you see the magic? Because you would only, who do you need to protect? The Jews were almost wiped off the planet in the 40s, and by the 50s, they were making per capita more than the whites again. So you're telling me because of slavery in 1850, that was, by the way, worldwide, black people can't possibly get out of their position? No, what that is a magic spell. You say, I care about the blacks. I will go to the pound and adopt one and give him all the kibbles and bits he could. Do you see it? Please tell me you see it. It's clear as day when you see it. I'm here to end rape, and I'm standing with Harvey Weinstein, a man everyone knows is a rapist. Yeah, maybe less people died in the Holocaust than 6 million. Doesn't change the fact it was a genocide and that did happen. That's part of another issue with the PSYOP stuff. It makes you not believe stuff that did happen. There is constantly rewrites. Hitler was a socialist imperialist. He was not a nationalist. I hate Nazis. I'm a nationalist. Hitler wasn't a nationalist. Hitler wasn't about protecting his people and his tribe and all that shit. No, he was about the occult and going out and seeking shit and killing demons in his brain. The guy was insane. That's a big lie too, saying that Hitler was right wing. No, he wasn't. He's. That's why I don't like Richard Spencer, and that's why I love Vox Day. Do you see the difference? Vox Day is a nationalist. Me and him were talking about that today. He's like, I live in Italy. Are we racist if we don't want to be invaded by France? We're both white. And he was like, he has the same issue as me with some of this shit. It's like, are you saying I'm not kind? Like, am I full of hate? It gets offensive. And the amount of people that believe this shit because they're so weakened by pornography, corn syrup, just mindless programming. Dude, the news channel is a spinning circle that counts down until they say a spell. Once you see it, it's a burden. But like, if you don't have my job, if you don't have like the thing where people attach my face with outing a lot of this shit, it's not as much of a burden. In fact, it frees you and allows you to fight it. So that's one reason why I'm here. Oh, it's 100% hypnosis. It's hypnosis. They're wizards, dude. All right, so let's get into some examples. And the reason I brought up that Moonrock thing is because some dude's like, yeah, I Googled it because I know you're insane now. And it said that there was also a petrified wood gift that they must have gotten mistaken. You see how they like, it's how they wear you down, where your logic says, okay, Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong gave Holland a piece of wood. They weren't even trying. They know how powerful their spells are that they didn't even use a rock. And they finally figured it out. And even after that, people still believe the lie because you have just a sliver. And now I'm realizing it's by design. They want to bring you to the edge and then pull you back with this little thing like, but it could still be real though. And the more they do that, it's how you train animals. The more they do that, it could be real though. You know, it's how you break someone. Not that I would ever kidnap anyone and break anyone. I know I have to say that because half the internet's autistic now. But you let them almost escape, like Misery, like that movie Misery. It's like they almost get there. And that's how you break their spirit. It's not just keeping them in a little cage. It's make them feel like they could do it. And then break them right the last minute again. It's like in Game of Thrones when they cut off that dude's dick while he was having sex. That's twisted, but it's way, way more intense. All right. So here is a little bit. Let me test you guys. Has a lot of you guys, when I criticize Jordan Peterson, who is a powerful wizard, he even tricked me, and I can see this shit a mile away. A lot of people say, but he's good for Christianity. He's a Christian in this crazy world, and he's bringing men back to Christianity. A lot of you guys have said that. You're like, I love his biblical lectures that never mention the Bible. Do you know he did a 3-hour biblical lecture once and never brought it up? And he kept getting laughs. That's one reason why I'm ashamed of my own profession, not the way I do it. But laughter is a way to diffuse truth if you do it wrongly. That's why there's good magic and bad magic. It's like, not good magic, but truth magic, which is what comedy should be. But like I remember Sam Harris was pinned about his bullshit deterministic worldview that he uses just to gain power and money. A parent, and it was a woman, and that matters because it's more relatable. You know, you hear mother, and you could tell was a fan and not trying to take him down or anything, was like, how do I teach my 8-year-old about determinism? Like, how do I tell him that like life is already planned out and he has no free will? How do I teach a kid that? And Sam Harris goes, lie. And everyone laughed. And then he moved on. He wasn't joking. That was how he diffused it. That was magic. Because you can't. You can't teach an 8-year-old that the world's a deterministic universe because they would kill themselves, and suicide is on the rise with little kids. It's getting insane because you shouldn't lie to your kids. Keep things from them. Polish things. Like Dad and Mama loved each other very much, and now we have Walter and we love Walter. When I say don't lie to your kids, I don't mean it's like, well, the dick goes in the pussy. Like, protect them, but don't speak false to your kids because then they end up, that's why I had this issue with Santa Claus. I'm teaching my son that Santa Claus is the spirit of giving. I'm not saying he lives on the North Pole and is on a sled. I can't do it. But I also don't want to be like Buzzkill, there's no Santa Claus. Like, you don't get to participate in this wonderful American tradition either. And that's why you have to like figure out how to protect and nurture without lying. All right, so let's do a little Mandela effect, a little wizardry with one of the great living wizards, Jordan Peterson, a guy that I've been annihilated by for criticizing. I'll never do any of my call-out stuff that I've done in the past to leftists with anybody on the right or conservatives or any of these guys because I just, they're not nearly as evil as the left. Even the evil ones. I mean, you got some bloodthirsty neocon psychopaths and shit. Obviously. There's some real bad dudes. But I don't take it personally. I see it as magic. So that's why I'll never give details. But like, I'll do something like that. And like powerful conservatives will like be like, hey man, we can't roll with that. And now we feel a little uncomfortable with like, and I'm like, wizardry. It's not the same feeling I have with leftist people that are like, listen, you are a monster if you don't bed this child. No, I think in general, conservatives, libertarians, nationalists, people on the right are trying to do the right thing. I get that vibe, except for the neocon globalist psychopaths. In general, I feel like they are, even if they're under a spell, like we didn't go to the moon, guys. And I forgive you guys for not knowing that. And even the guys that have attacked me. I've called flat earth people like retards and morons and stuff. I still don't think the earth is flat. But I understand that feeling of thinking you know something that others don't and it's clear as day to you. And I apologize to those people. I remember once after a show, like a fan of mine years ago, it was him and his wife. And she was talking about how the earth was flat. And I was like, listen, lady, I love you guys, but like, I can't even listen to that nonsense. And the guy was like, I know, right? But like, dude, don't say that out loud. And she's like, I mean, what happens to water on a sphere? And I'm like, lady, you're retarded, but I love you. I'm doing a little wizardry to remove myself. Like, say the truth, you're retarded, and the truth, I love you. Like, I'm not lying, but it's a way for me to be like, hey, fuck you. Everything's still cool, though. And I feel bad about that now because I get it. I get it. I've walked a mile in those moccasins now. All right, so let's play a game. Has Jordan Peterson ever said he believes in God? Has Jordan Peterson ever said he believes in Jesus Christ? Has Jordan Peterson ever said that he even thinks Jesus Christ was a real person? Has Jordan Peterson ever said he's religious at all? Has Jordan Peterson ever said he believes in God? And here's the biggest part. You know he hasn't. You can tell what I'm doing here. He's a Satanist. And I'll tell you why. Because Dawkins, as much as I disagree with him and I think he's a worm, at least he has the integrity to say he's an atheist or whatever he is. And I'm like, fuck you, Richard Dawkins. But at least you say this shit. Watch this. And if you watch this and you still wonder why I criticized Jordan Peterson. By the way, I was under a spell with Peterson before where I thought he was secretly a Christian and he was waiting to get notoriety to reveal that because he didn't want to be persecuted by the atheist, leftist intelligentsia. That was my thought. So when he would dance these issues, I'm like, Peterson knows about what's going on, but he just doesn't want to be ostracized. It's the opposite. Peterson pretended to be Christian just enough to get the support of Christians because these people can't say they believe in Jesus Christ. That's why it's a powerful, that's truth magic. I don't know. I don't even want to associate it with magic, but like they can't say Jesus Christ saved us. That's one reason why like bad popes and shit, they're all about Latin. Like, vampires still have rules. Like, you have to invite them in. Watch Peterson right now. Watch this shit. Ready? Yeah, like Sticks and Hammer 666. That guy says he's an occultist. I despise the occult. I have total respect for the guy. I hate Islam. I love some Muslims. That's the way it works. Are you honest about who you are? Listen, you believe that Muhammad, he's a pedophile on a flying horse and he saves the day. But if tell me that honestly, if you're like one of these like secretive, watch Jordan Peterson, watch this. And if you ever freak out on me again about Peterson after watching this, just save your breath because we have nothing in common. This is wizardry to a T. Watch this.
The idol of millions of people is punting on the most important question in the world. It is a question of literal metaphysical truth before this question of psychology. Peterson has said that he behaves as if God exists, but he lectures as if he doesn't. It would be helpful for his fans and himself if he addressed the heart of the West crisis and meaning, God, yes or no.
He can't. Watch this slime ball. And this is one reason why I love Vox Day, because he called this out way before I saw it. Watch Peterson pretend like it's a new thought. This is circus performing, guys. Guys, this is Gandalf the gay. He's pretending it's the first time he's ever thought about whether or not he believes in God. So it looks like he's a tormented, like moral man in chaos. It triggers emotions in you that you want to protect him and you want to serve under him. That's what I felt because I felt like he, heavy as the head that wears the crown. I'm like, look at him struggling. He's not struggling. They asked, do you believe in God? Yes or no? Bear in mind, he now makes like what, $6 million a month? He's a worldwide bestseller on any show. He's just on Dr. Oz, probably sodomizing each other. He doesn't need to hide what he is anymore. And Robert Moses will teach you all about concealment. Watch this answer. And never, ever, ever come at me again for coming after Peterson. If you tell me I'm envious, if you tell me it's because I'm bitter or I'm crazy, like just go away. Watch this answer.
Why not take on this question of the existence of God?
Because it's not.
Someone by the way, just before I show this piece of work, someone just in the chat said, so an atheist can't be a good person. I've talked about this many times. Of course an atheist can be a good person. I know atheists that are morally more sound that I would trust in a foxhole way more than people that claim to be these Christians. Like, I don't think society can survive morally without Christianity given 2 generations. I think there's a lot of atheists right now that have no idea where their morality comes from. It comes from God. They don't know. And I respect the fact that they can't see or touch God. And so they're not going to go with something they can't see. That's how the flat earth guys are like that too. But as long as you're not evangelically atheist, as long as you don't hate God, the problem I have with atheism is the hatred of God. It's not that they don't think God exists. Sam Harris knows that God exists, or else he wouldn't base his whole career out of destroying them. It's like I know atheists that you don't even know they're atheists. They're like, man, I just can't believe in it, man. Growing up, the priest was always a weirdo, and there's a guy in a cloud. Like those guys, of course they're moral. They can be moral. Anybody that says you have to hold this book and say this word or else you're bad, they're wizards. I'll show you one with a big old hat. He's currently the Pope. So I just wanted to address that. Now let's watch Peterson.
Why not take on this question of the existence of God?
Because it's not something to reduce to a soundbite.
Yes, it is.
Fundamental.
Yes, it is. Say, I believe in God. Of course I do. I'm Christian. Look at that answer. Watch it. It gets even crazier.
But your lectures are 2 hours long.
This is true. But when you're talking about the most important questions that people have ever asked, then 2 hours isn't very long. Apparently, people will watch.
He needs more than 2 hours to say if he believes in the existence of God. And I'm going to analyze this on a different level in 1 second. Let's just finish this part.
So I'm not prepared to.
Look at that. You see that?
I'm not prepared to say
that's a lie. He's a 55-year-old multi-millionaire who talks about religion all the time. He's a psychiatrist, whatever the hell he wants to call himself. That whole like, I'm not prepared to. You want to know what that is? Let's invent a new term. Let's call that the Ryan Gosling effect. Ryan Gosling was always the biggest heartthrob with chicks because he didn't say anything. Women have a fantastic ability. There's one reason why they're so easy to manipulate with music, like Coldplay. If you say nothing and just look sad and weird and like there's something hurting inside, they will put their thoughts into you. It's a female trait where it's like him doing that. People are like, he can't even talk about God because he loves him so much. Nope. He does this every time. He knows the truth. He knows what his truth is. And also, he's using speech patterns that connotate, like Puritans. He's like, this is true. Obama mastered it. He figured out how to talk like he's an Iowa farmer and black and Hawaiian simultaneously. Folks, I just don't, folks these days, it's wizardry, guys. Words are so crazy powerful, you can't even imagine it. I'll play this again. But when Peterson says, clean your room, and sorry, I don't mean to laugh, because I know some of you guys worship this guy. It's like worshiping a squirrel. And I won't judge you for getting out of it. People write to me all the time. They're like, Big Bear, I was so mean to you when you first called out Peterson, and now I see him for what he is. I'm really sorry. Guys, I wrote him a birthday song. I'm not judging you. Don't be a dick to people anymore, though, obviously. But so Peterson, when he says, he goes, when you want to know what someone thinks about you, shut up. Listen. Don't say a word. They will reveal everything you need to know about them. Just be quiet and listen. And you want to know what that is? That's basic magic, guys. He's getting the crowd to shut up and listen to him. He invented a fake scenario. If you want to know what people think about you, you shut up? No. Then they walk away and do other shit. That's retarded advice. He set up a situation where he could scream, shut up, listen, shut up. Scream it. And the audience doesn't know that he's talking to them, and then they follow orders. They don't say a word. They listen to every word he says. And he still has the moral high ground because he framed it in a way where he was helping people. If you want to know what your family really thinks of you, you shut up and you give them money. It's like we react to words. Like the word free makes you buy shit. Even if you think that free, that's why I don't say things are free. If I say things are free, they're really free. I'm so fucking good at magic that I have to consciously be like, don't do wizardry ever. Don't do it. Don't do wizardry. Because it makes me sick, to be honest with you. You can make so much money with Jordan Peterson is making so much money, it's mind-blowing. He makes more money than most celebrities, like most people you know. And when him and Butt Boy Dave Rubin sell their new Patreon alternative, they may become billionaires, guys. Okay, so he uses the word free. If you say it works so well and you don't even know it works, and those are the best spells. That's why I admit I may be under a spell with Flat Earth. A real high level of thought is to know you're susceptible to spells and try and look at where you have weaknesses and just your limitations. When you say buy one get one free, if you do this now, a free this, and you're like, oh, I don't fall for that. If I hear free, I know it's a bad deal. Study after study after study, that is not true. You can have the same products, same price. You just put the word free in there somewhere, it's 8 times the sales. You don't even know it. You're unaware of it. And you don't even think you'll fall for it. There's a whole science behind this. It's called marketing. That's why this is magic. This is evil shit, man. You can blame it on oh, we want eyeballs on the screen. That's why I don't want eyeball. I want good people. I framed my life to truth because I'm dead if I don't. I'm too fucking good at magic. I could have 8 wives and gold and just hurt people. I'm so good at words. Not saying that as a brag. Do not put me in that boastful category. I'm saying that because this is a struggle. Imagine my buddy who's dead, Justin Roque, Marine. He realized he was so good at killing people that being back here was hard as fuck. He had killed so many people as a sniper and with cold blood. It got to the point where he once just blew a guy's head off because he was like raping a kid or a goat or something. I mean, he's one of the guys that was part of the peeing on the Taliban thing. Like, one of their boys got blown up in front of him, and it took like 10 minutes to die and shit, and they all went crazy and went like AWOL. And he said that they started shooting anything that looked like Muslim-ish. And I've had a couple letters from military being like, don't say that, it tarnishes the military. I'm like, dude, I'm a giant supporter of the military. It tarnishes my friend's name if I don't speak his stories, which I know are true. I mean, one time one of our buddies shot himself, and Justin's first reaction was, what kind of gun did he use? Like, he's a killer. And being in the normal world was hard on him. And it's like that sometimes with wizard shit. It's like, I can say words that'll make people do anything. And that's why I do Over the Pants hand job in a Walgreens song, and I make the crowd do that, because I'm trying to do it in a good way, to be like, look how people can do what you tell them and they don't even realize they're under a spell, and then maybe they can help themselves, you know? I truly believe that. And it's weird though, but watch Peterson. This guy is so evil, guys. Just trust. You don't have to trust me. Don't trust me. Look for yourself. Do you think he's never been asked, does he believe in God? Any believer right now watching this who likes Peterson is like, what in the fuck? Same thing happened to me. I thought he was a Christian. This is unbelievable behavior if you believe in God. Like, the first thing he'd say is be like, of course, I saw the face of my child. No, he's like, I cannot answer that, because he serves another master. Materialism. He doesn't call it Satan, probably. It's Satan. You have to understand all of it to know what you serve. He serves his suits, his attention, you know, besting his enemies, having people think he's great when he's not. He likes his lies. He likes his secrets. He's probably a sex addict on some level. Not starting that rumor, have no proof at all, but matches all the shit. All right, so watch him again.
2 hours long.
This is true, but when you're talking about the most important questions that people have ever asked, then 2 hours isn't very long. Apparently, people will watch them. So I'm not prepared to.
He's acting like a molested kid trying to say the truth.
I'm not prepared to say things in any other way than I've already said them.
You are a despicable man, Jordan Peterson.
It isn't obvious what belief means. People think
yes,
that
it is. Do you believe that water is wet? Do you believe the sun will rise the next day? Belief is an extremely easy word to understand and define. I feel really good that I'm showing people this right now. I really think I'm freeing a lot of people right now, because that spell is powerful as shit. And look how pathetic he looks, right? When you find out how the magician does it, it ruins it, and you almost get mad. Were you like, that was it? Damn it, George. I gotta grab George. Hang on.
Believe is what they say they believe. I don't believe that. I believe that what people believe is what they act out. And so I said, I act as if God exists. That's a sufficient statement as far as I'm concerned. You know, what's the old saying? By their fruits ye shall know them. Same idea, right? It's a matter of action and a matter of commitment. It's not a matter of me parading out my explicit statements about a metaphysical reality that's virtually impossible to comprehend.
It's possible to comprehend. But let me break that down for you. He said it doesn't matter what you believe; it matters how you act. That what he just did is try to make being a sociopathic, psychopathic, lying, constant liar virtuous. So what he's saying is, okay, let's say you don't love your wife. You hate your wife, but you act like you love your wife for 50 years. Does that mean you love your wife? No, it means you're a tragic, hollow, empty shell of a piece of shit. Belief is the start of all of it. And just look at the chat. I'm not a great Christian in the sense I can't quote biblical verses. I go to church not that often. I don't talk about it a lot. Look at like evangelicals in this chat being like, oh yeah, Big Bear's got the spirit in him, right? Like, I'm not lying, guys. It starts in, like, because I get it so purely that I can explain it. Because it's not in the words, and it's in the words, obviously, but, like, if you get lost in the art thous and all this shit, or like that one, the priest with the wizard hat, that's all nonsense. People, these parasites latch onto the truth and they suck the blood from it. That's not Christianity. It starts with the belief. And then from there, everything becomes obvious. Like I'll say something, and this isn't, I'm not a religious figure. I'm not a prophet. I'm none of that shit. I just believe. It's like I'll say something and someone's like, oh, that's like Luke, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, no way. And I'll say something and someone's like, oh, that's in Matthew. I'm like, well, it's also just true. This is the deal. The Bible is written by men. The Bible is been interpreted and it's old and we can't prove it scientifically, whatnot. It's true. Like I felt it and saw it and believe, like the Bible is the only thing that matched what I saw. Like it was almost like, well, these guys get it. I have no interest in trying to prove it. That's the difference between faith and science. That's why I hate science as a religion, because they're lying. It's not fact-based. There's no global warming. There's no ozone layer because of hairspray shit. 1 in 5 heterosexuals didn't get AIDS by 1990. We're not dying from Ebola. Like, Y2K didn't happen. Fucking bird swine flu. Like, it's all bullshit. I know I can't prove my religion. That's why I'm logically consistent. It's called faith. I feel it in my soul. And if people don't know what that is, you can't describe it to them. This piece of shit, Jordan Peterson, believes nothing.
And I'm not willing to do that. And I'm not interested in providing people with easy answers, including me.
Or any answers, Jordan. You're not interested in providing anyone answers. You charge $300 to shake your soft, sweaty hand with your soft sheets and your sodomite opener and your lizard agents that you didn't need and your bullshit backstory and your maps of meaning. He called paranoid delusions of grandeur and pathological lying a map of meaning. And I'll be honest, this dude did help me in some ways. This dude has helped some of my friends from like not dying from heroin. This dude has helped people's dads. I get it. Deepak Chopra has also helped people. These people are snake oil salesmen. I'm not saying that there isn't help. Like you can't, this guy said enough nonsense, but appeared to be a strong male that it allowed other people to save themselves, right? Like Base Texan, right? Who runs my clip channel, Owen Benjamin Clips, right? He can now almost pay, like he can pay a good chunk of his mortgage now because of the ad revenue from that channel. And he said to me, man, you really, I'm like, you really helped me, man. You really, you did a lot for me. I'm very grateful. I'm like, you did it. And I'm not saying that to butter people up or any of that. He pulled himself out. He started clipping my clips and was so consistent that I started promoting him on my channel. He made it profitable. He was such a good, consistent, loyal guy to me that I never wanted any money from him, and I just wanted his friendship and I wanted his family to succeed, and I love the way he sees the world. That's all him. Jordan Peterson, he allows people to save themselves by standing up in a very tiny way, by saying, boys have penises, girls have vaginas, and clean your goddamn room, bucko. That's his entire offering to the world. And just by doing that little glimmer, which is his catalyst to get millions and millions of dollars and probably unlimited sodomy, but it sparked something in people that saved them. But it was people that saved themselves. I saved no one. I don't impregnate your wife when you decide to have a family now because you see me and my... You do it. That's what the world's supposed to be. That's the beauty of truth. All truth is true. We all share it. It's not mine. I'm not special. I am special in the sense that I see this, but it's not mine. It's all of ours. And so if someone just says a truth, and Trump's done the same shit, I have no idea what Trump's motivations are because he also lies. Let's look at some more Wizardry. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I'm very passionate about this in case you can't tell, because Wizardry is people are just so susceptible to it. And I'm not going to give any examples that would embarrass anybody, but people say stuff to me and I'm like, you're under such a spell. It's mind blowing. Okay, here's an example of someone I don't mind talking a little shit about because he's just, I mean, him and Bill Burr just apologized for white people. It's just pathetic. That's another thing about being honest. Like when I called out Rogan and then I apologized, But I was only apologizing because he didn't call me out first publicly, and I didn't call him first. I didn't apologize for him being a leftist. But they always get worse. Whenever you start feuds with somebody or like, and you're being honest, you either make up or they keep degenerating. Like, I remember when I first started making fun of Jimmy Kimmel, people would be like, hey man, not cool, bro. And I'm like, Jimmy Kimmel's a wizard and he's degenerating. And they're like, you're jealous. You're just jealous. I'm like, you're trying to get something from mocking Jimmy Kimmel. I'm like, no, I'm actually doing Adam Carolla next week, so it's actually super awkward. And now everyone's like, Kimmel's a faggot. And I'm like, how did you not see that 2 years ago when all the signs were there? Joe Rogan tried to give me a scarcity spell. And this is one of the most annoying spells out there, because Joe Rogan isn't evil. He's not Jimmy Savile. But he's like, you know, you got to hold. And I know that he was trying to be paternal to me, but he was being paternal to me with black magic. And I don't appreciate that. But he was trying to like help me and like give me pointers. And I'm almost like Bane. I'm like, I was born in darkness. Like my dad used to make me argue the other side of impossible arguments when I was 5. You think I need Twitter advice, Joe? So anyway, he was like, you post too much. You know, you do too many videos. You're so fucking talented, man. You gotta pull it back and just every now and then, you know, make people wait for it and want it. I'm like, scarcity spell. I didn't say that out of respect, but I'm like, that's a scarcity spell. That De Beers made that. I mean, De Beers mastered the scarcity spell. There's warehouses of diamonds. Warehouses. They're pointless. They're meaningless. Diamonds have no value whatsoever. And they're not all Jews who do this, but they have warehouses of diamonds just to keep the value up. That's a spell. That's black magic. I will never do that. I've now done, 5 specials in a year? People that are like, you got to space them out, make them an event. No, I do it as soon as I want to and when it's right. And when people want more comedy. And I'm going to make and create as much as I possibly can before I die so that my message will live on in my art. And if you think that I'm going to hold back some thoughts or ideas or videos for 3 months so I can build up my sales and people think that I'm that's a scarcity spell. I'll give you another example of a scarcity spell. Third Eye Blind, right? Amy loved Third Eye Blind when we first started dating, and they came to this to LA to this like smaller place, and I was still at CAA, so I could get free tickets to anything, and I blew her fucking mind with some Third Eye Blind tickets. And I go to the show. I couldn't stop laughing. This is why I can't go to shit like this. So the guy doesn't show his face. He's like, I wish you would step back from that ledge, my friend. And all the girls and gay homos are like, show me your face. Why won't he show it? And he's like, part time, like all the lines you. And everyone's like, and then finally he's like, did I graduate? And everyone's like, and I'm like, scarcity spells exist when someone knows they have nothing to offer. The best musicians in the world, the best entertainers in the world just need a microphone and a guitar, and that's it. If you need to do that, you suck. And I'm not motivated by money. I was motivated by money when I was hauling brush for my brother for $20 after I got my career annihilated by saying that there's no trans kids. I'm crazy grateful right now. I'm making money again to a point where I'm like, I might buy a tractor. Because I don't like looking at zeros. My father, I broke that spell a long time ago. My father made very little money as a professor, but he had a Jewish mother. And so he knows how to hoard money. And I didn't get new clothing until I was in college. In fact, I like that I was taught thrift. You know, I went to a state school, got all the discounts, the scholarships. We never had, and I talked about this on a stream recently, and I think I hurt my mom's feelings, and I feel really bad about it. Like it was like, it sounded like I was complaining about our lack of material possessions when it set me free. Mom, I love you. I was trying to be funny. I think I hurt her feelings though, but because we lacked for nothing. They taught me the skills to allow myself to own like all this shit. It's like, you don't need stuff. But like, this is the difference between my mom and my dad. And I'm not talking shit. I'm still honoring and all that shit. But my mom would take me to collect cans out of dumpsters, right? And so dedicated to me. I wrote her an email recently. I'm trying to make up with her about what I said because it was definitely misinterpreted, but I know she doesn't get upset very often. I said, you're the reason I'm good. Because without my mom, I could have just been a wizard. I could have just been a Hollywood mega. I'm really good at this shit, guys. It's like, I'm so thankful that my mom made me good. Because without that, I'm not saying my dad's evil. My dad's a good dude in a lot of ways, but he's an absolute wizard. He has spell after spell after spell. My mom was like, okay, I'll do anything. My mom was taking me. I used to get headaches from electromagnetism way back in the day when humans weren't destroyed by it yet and just completely inoculated. People are talking about 5Gs and shit now. I used to feel electromagnetic force, like electronic equipment and stuff like that when I was young, and I had a very honest and natural upbringing as a very young child. I could feel it and it hurt. And she took me to see this doctor, Dr. Becker, who wrote a book called Cross Currents about the dangers of the growing electromagnetic fields and stuff. And I could prove that I could feel where things were. I can't at all now. Now it sounds crazy. But my point is, she believed me. And looking back, sometimes I even doubt I could do it because it seems so foreign to me. But she was like, no, my son doesn't lie. And the fact she did that, and there's a lot of traumatic experiences in my childhood and a lot of pain and a lot of stuff. But my mom said, my son doesn't lie. Always. That's why I'm not a liar. My mom gave up her career to be a mother when she fought her whole life to get out of a little town, with abuse and not need a man who might beat the shit out of her. And when she saw my brother, she cried because she knew what she had to do. It wasn't tears of joy, she said. She said it was tears of obligation because she knew she couldn't leave her child. My mom's a hero. So when I say it's very dramatic, sometimes we wouldn't even have Christmas decorations. I'm not saying we wanted for anything. In fact, I'm proud of that. And I was exaggerating for comedic effect a little. We would have some ornaments, but it'd be like ones we made with popcorn. And so we were collecting cans and I was making money. We're the Speedway and all the places were no one wanted to look like a garbage picker where all the cans were. So kids would call me, fat OMB, OMB sucks his pee, stuff like that. Just scumbag names. And I didn't care because my mom knew I wasn't a liar. And I would collect so many cans that I started a stock account when I was 9. Then I got the paper route. Black guy stole my bike. But Paperboy of the Year twice. Because my mom knew I wasn't a liar. And my dad had a crazy work ethic. My point was, the whole time, my dad was saving and squirreling away his money. My dad's worth a couple mil. Do you understand how insane that is? I was raised thinking that we were in poverty. We were on government cheese. And we did have very low income. They still live in the same house worth about 50 grand right now. Right now, the house is worth maybe $50,000. I think they drive one Camry, maybe two, 1999. Just do not care about money. And it's because my mom only cares about truth. And my dad loves to see the zeros grow. And it's a sickness. And I'm not talking shit about him. But I used to watch him call the account because there was no internet. And I didn't know what he was doing yet. But he just wanted to hear how much he had. And when the market would fluctuate. And it would change his emotions. And he would always say, we're going to end up in the poorhouse. We're going to lose the house. If we do that. And the whole time, he was saving and saving. So granted, I am insanely good at making money for some reason because of that. But I also know the evil of it. And I know that money isn't evil. The love of money is evil. And I watched it howl out my dad fucking Bilbo Baggins. Or not Bilbo. Who was that? Gollum. My dad's now sitting on a pile of gold. And, he's never met my son. And it's not because he's not evil. He's empty. And that's what happens to wizards. And I'm not saying this because I have issues or I'm trying to be cruel. I want people to know what happens. I want people to know that if you take that route and you think you can trick truth, you end up with your ear pressed against a phone wondering if you made an extra $20,000 that day that will give you nothing and no joy at all. And you don't know your kids and You have bad knees and you could get surgery and you can afford it, but you don't want to spend the money. It's like, it's a sickness. A lot of Jews have it. That's Semitic. It's true. There's a hoarding gene, I think. It's slightly mentally ill. My grandmother had it bad. My dad has it. I have it a little. I always think that I've jumped enough away from the Jew vibes to like, mine's like bullets and seeds and friendships and water. You know, I know the fallacies of money that, you know, sometimes full-blown Jews don't always feel, but it's absolutely a sickness. You know, it's an obsession, OCD. It's like, why would Bernie Madoff do that? He's upset. It's numbers. It's closer to like Rain Man than it is smog. I can't explain it. But so I don't even know the point I'm making. I'm just having a really good time. I guess maybe my dad had it too, come to think of it. Yeah, and there was a time. See, this is kind of like why the Muzzies are so crazy now in Saudi Arabia and shit. There's a reason to be a hoarder, right? Let's say you're part of a tribe, a little tiny tribe called the Jews, or maybe you're like from the Great Depression. You know, I'm not just going to say that Jews are the only people persecuted. In fact, they're just really good at broadcasting it. But they have been persecuted. That's the thing. It's kind of like women are amazing. It's just feminism makes me want to talk shit about women. That's how I feel about Jews. Jews have been persecuted. They are an outside outlier group that's had a lot of bad shit happen to them. But they've complained about it so much that I will never say that again. I will only mock them. Same thing with feminism. It's like women make life and give you everything that's beautiful in this world. But if I hear Amy Schumer open her mouth one more time, I'm going to call everyone a cunt. So, what was I talking about? Hoarding? Oh yeah, I don't know. Let's look at more wizard stuff. I'll read the super chats and stuff too. And that's the thing, like paypal.me/feedthebear, throw some honey in the pot. Because I see like when you guys do that, it's not that I love money. I like being valued. I feel like, and it's how we can pay the mortgage and shit without having ads that make me take knees. George, don't eat styrofoam. Come here. I have a plan. I might seem chaotic and run and gun a lot. It's because I'm very instinctual. But if you have belief and if you have values and if you have virtue and stuff, you always have a plan. You just don't know it yet. Like I had to readjust one of my stances with Amy, and it's helped tremendously. Because like one of my principles is never allow her to demean me. I never retreat. I never let her put me down like those commercials where it's like just a dumb dad. Even he can do it. The guy who paid for it. I will never allow one word of that in my life, and I will do anything to stop it. Now I had to change that because I had to admit that I can't tell if she's doing it sometimes. Like sometimes when I watch the kids, I realize, again, don't call me a cuck because you just sound like a cuck if you don't understand the value of motherhood. It's so hard. It's like they're managing. It's like someone just shit on something. Someone's eating something. You know, there's someone at the door. The dogs are barking. It's like spinning plates. You know, and so if she ever looked passive aggressively detached and short and not listening and seeming like she's demeaning me, she very well might just be thinking about whether or not Charlie has his hat on. And I don't trust myself to make that call anymore. And ever since I've made that decision, we've had more love in our home, and she's treated me just incredible. She's always treated me good, but like that. Like, okay, so that's not a plan, but that's something I've thought in my head, and I know it's my red line. Is Obama retracted from? And so you always have a plan. That's why when people are like, oh, you're off the rocker, it's like, I might be wrong, but I'm not lying. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. And I will attack monsters. I'll call shit out. And I will use tactics that sometimes seem petty. Like if I just start calling people retards, it's a tactic, guys. It's all right. One more quick like magic side note, and then I'll get back in the video. If you read Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals, one way that people do it is they try to, and they can flip-flop on this. You use information that your audience understands and that other people don't understand. It's in-group, out-group stuff. So if someone's arguing with me, and my point is valid, and they start doing wizardry, where I'm like, how do you send a broadcast from the moon? And they're like, well, megahertz, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you're a retard. That's how you derail it. And then the next day I research exactly the wattage or the voltage in the generator needed to power a live. It's 150,000 volts for a TV station. But at that time I didn't know that. And they're using wizard techniques where it's like, Christians do it all the time. Where it's like, Corinthians 9, it's like, yeah, but what's real though? Say the truth. Don't try and use the words that you know that I don't have memorized because I was raised a little fucked up and Catholic and I had, don't do that to avoid truth. And scientists now do it just like Christians used to when I was a kid. It's like John 14:17 says, you're bad, I'm good. It's like, no, that's a spell. The Bible isn't a spell, but doing it like that is. And now science is like, well, 97% of climatology lie. No, you're trying to evoke authority by using words and figures and stuff that you don't think your audience understands. Well, guess what everyone understands? Calling someone a retard. I was a heckler at a Renaissance fair. One thing that would always work is say loser or you're fat or your wife's too hot for you. Everyone understands it. That brings me to Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump sometimes sounds stupid, but he's not stupid. He knows how to boil it down to the very, very simplest possible thing and speak to everyone. It's genius. I'm such a fan of this dude. Watch this. This is called, okay, first let's look at Obama the Liar. This is pure wizardry. And I'll teach you a little something about rhetoric. And this will truly help you in the future, by the way. Because you'll see it. You'll see it and you won't. Because I see you guys arguing on my behalf in some of the comments. And I don't jump in a lot because sometimes I almost feel like a coach. Like I'm almost like watching you guys like scrimmage. I'm pretty into words. I mean, I have a giant dictionary right next to me. And truth and arguments and wizardry. I'm obsessed. And I'll see you guys fall for tactics where it's like, well, I just think he's lost his mind. And okay, here's a perfect one. Listen, I'm a huge fan of his and I've been a fan for a long time and I love that he stands up, but he's really went off the deep end, right? There's no meaning in that. That's a spell, probably a bot. That's not even a human being saying that. That's a generic way of doing in-group, out-group. You say in-group, listen, I also love him. But I'm worried about him, right? And then people fall for it because they're like, oh, you're also a bear? Yeah, and lately I guess he has been a little intense. I'm always intense. And I'm like, don't fall for that shit. But this will help you guys. All right, watch Barack Obama. Ready?
We're supposed to stand up to discrimination. And we're sure as heck supposed to stand up clearly and unequivocally to Nazi sympathizers.
What he just said was obvious and no one was arguing it. That's like saying, we're supposed to not gang rape our own dickhole with iron rods. Imagine saying that. Everyone would be like, everyone knows that. What he just said was not a controversial statement. Bernie does it all the time. I think that everyone should have health care. You think? You don't think that it hurts me to pay $1,600 fucking dollars a month for this shit health care where it's like a 40% copay on everything? I just know socialism always ends in starvation and genocide. Everyone thinks everyone should have health care. Who the fuck is arguing against that? I believe that children should not be shot in schools. So do I. We just have different ways of getting to that. I think people should be armed so that bitches like you chill out. You think that we should be disarmed so you can drone army our ass and take everything. All right, so let's watch what he says, and I'll show you exactly what he does.
How hard can that be? Saying that Nazis are bad.
I think someone counted it. Donald Trump, I think, has disavowed Nazis, Richard Spencer, David Duke, hatred of his daughter's Jewish. He's, the wealthy black people love him. He's not racist. He just sees green. It's never been an issue for Donald Trump to not disavow Nazis. Someone counted it once. I think it was like 30 something times. He's been like, Nazis are fucking dicks. And so what Obama's doing, and this is how they get away with it, right? Because they can't fully just paint a different reality because people would catch on. It's like Berenstein Bears. They got to do it like little, right? So nothing he's saying right now is a factual lie. Because he's simply, these are called rhetorical questions. They're questions to persuade. They're not questions to ask a question. He's saying, how hard is it to condemn Nazis? That's not a lie. You know, people could be like, not that hard. It's like, right, not that hard. He never said Donald Trump is not condemning Nazis, because that is a lie. So what he did is he just inverted reality, and people fall for it because it's wizardry. Because people want, one of the reasons Netflix is constantly demonizing our hero, Adolf Hitler, and putting just, he has more specials than any living comedian right now. It's like, was Adolf Hitler in Argentina? The shoes of Adolf Hitler, the death machines of it. All they're doing is setting up a psyop. Because listen, Hitler's a piece of shit. No different than Pol Pot and Stalin and Khrushchev and Lenin and fucking all of them. It's like, that's how dictators are. So what they do is they set up a psyop where they trigger it with Nazis. So it's constantly like, Hitler's the face of evil. Hitler's the face of evil. And when someone like me points this out, it sounds like I'm defending Hitler, but I know you guys are smart enough, and I don't give a fuck. I was raised by my mother. I'm scared of no deceiver. So then they can pull this out. So what it is the group now wants to show virtue. And the universal thing is Nazis are bad. That's programmed in your head. You know, Khmer Rouge doesn't mean shit. Imagine, how hard is it to call out the Khmer Rouge? Death count higher as far as percentage of population. And they did it. They just pulled these people into a field, the killing fields. They killed all the kids and the teachers and anybody that could read, and horrifying, right? No one says, how hard is it to condemn the Khmer Rouge? No, we're programmed to have a trigger. This is all about triggers. It's not even about the Jews. One reason it's easy to hate the Jews is because we think it's always the Jews doing it. We do, come on. Who's going to condemn Hitler all the time and do all these movies and constantly talk about the Holocaust, the Holocaust? The Holocaust didn't even mean Jew. It meant burnt offering. They stole that whole word. Some Jews did it, but it's not the Jews. It's a psychological operation, right? They just need a trigger. That's it. They've invented words now. You know, bigot, racist, homophobe, transphobe is a brand new trigger. It has nothing to do with Jews. They could pick one out of the fucking hat. The reason Hitler works is because we beat him. I went down a rabbit hole for a few days where I thought the Jews were literally trying to dismantle the world. I'm just being honest. And I was really looking into this shit. Like, are the Jews seriously fucking up everybody's brain? No. It's just Hitler's the perfect patsy. Because he's evil as shit, we beat him, and he's a nationalist. He's not really a nationalist, but they paint him that way, right? He could do it. He did enough like pro-Germany shit where, why didn't they go after Stalin? Because Stalin's big government, socialist, fucking drone, rule by bureaucracy, hero to the people doing this. The people that do this, it has nothing to do with being Jewish or any Jesuit or any of that shit. It has to do with power and secrecy. Any walk of life, if you're in this cabal, what it is they want to trigger so that anyone at any time can say Nazi and people go, oh, bad. And they programmed us because of Hitler movies. It wasn't the Jews. It wasn't like Jewish people just being like, we're so much better than everybody. That's why they're hateable, because in our minds, we're like, what about the Armenian genocide? What about, you know, there's the Irish genocide? What about the Native American? You know, everybody has a history. And it seems like the Jews are just these like bitches that don't stop, but really they're almost like the ultimate fall guy because they have jobs traditionally that everyone hates. Money lender, fucking real estate landlord, fucking these cheesehead looking dudes with the long shit, just run around smelling. Dude, they're not killing it. Some are, some in this cabal, you know, the Rothschilds, the Soroses of the world, these Church of Satan type Jews. Absolutely. And they're fucking great at it. I'm about to talk about Robert Moses, but be wary of the Jews being the fall guy. Just mark my words. Same with Trump. Be wary of Trump being the fall guy for a broken economy. Because they've attached Trump to the economy now so hard that when it breaks, they'll use it to bring in socialism. They're doing the same thing with the Jews. Israel definitely has us fight their wars for them, but why wouldn't they? I'm all about getting the fuck out of the Middle East, all about it. I don't want to fight these wars, neither do you. But if you're a little pocket of land, and in every other country, all your people have been fucking killed, listen, you can say they didn't use Zyklon B, or it was 300,000 or 800,000 or 8 million in Germany, it doesn't matter. Jews are constantly getting killed by Muzzies. Go to Jordan, Kuwait, Iraq, Oman. I've been to all these fucking places. I've never been to Jordan, but there's no Jews or Christians. Muzzies kill these people all the time, right? So by hook or by crook, and I mean that quite literally, the Jews got Israel, and God bless. I respect the rights of the conquering, or else I couldn't be American. I'd be a hypocrite. So now they have a 7-nation army couldn't hold me back. You got nations of people being like, Jews. And if they could get the biggest, baddest motherfuckers on the planet, America, to fight their battles for them, of course they would. It's our job to not do it. It's our job to support, because we should have allies there. I'm supportive of Israel, because it's like, if you go to the Middle East and you see the horror of real Islam, you're like, thank God for the Jews. And one of the reasons I don't want to topple Assad or any more of this nation shit is because I hate Islam. I don't hate Muslims. I hate a lot of Muslims. But there's a lot of Muslims that are just kind of doing their thing, and they're like, yeah, Muhammad, he says some shit, right on. Because they have a dictator. You take out that dictator, you get the Muslim Brotherhood, and you get the purest form of Islam there is, which is pure evil. Islam is evil as shit. Muslims aren't necessarily evil. And the way to radicalize these motherfuckers is to get rid of these stupid dictators with shaved faces. Because then they don't care if they die. These people want to die a lot of times. Like, they're like, oh, like, fuck it. Like, listen, man. It's like Jocko Willick's right and I'm right. Jocko Willick's right. There's monsters over there. There's snakes over there. There's horrors over there that we need men with guns and bombs to keep out of here, and we don't even want to understand. Yeah, and we also shouldn't be there. And the way power works, and I'm about to talk about this with Robert Moses, is they set up a system where you can't get out or else it falls apart. And that's how dysfunctional families work. That's how it all works. Jocko's right. We pull out in certain areas, everyone gets fucked and dies, but we also can't stay. We can't function as a world police force in just never-ending wars that don't end. It's breaking our soul. We have to have a parade and say we beat the fucking Nazis, or else we can't function. But Jocko's also right. There's horrors that you don't even want to know about, and thank God for the Marines. You see how power works? They set it up so it's an upside down. Let's check out more of stupid Obama. Hey, George, stop that. All right, I'll just show you Trump. I was going to do a quick stream, but please share this one. I think this is very important information that people know. George is only one, so he eats everything. All right, now watch the difference with Trump. What Trump does is he does the truth formula. That's why when people say, like, how can evangelicals like Trump? Because Trump knows how to beat the wicked spell. Whether or not he's been coached or if it's real, I don't know. But he knows how to do it. Truth, that's why saying Jesus Christ's name or up is up, down is down, yes is yes, no is no. That's the most important thing in the whole deal. That's why I might be wrong, but I'm not lying, resonates so hard. Because it's so fucking true and it's so necessary. That's why atheists can be moral. Because it's like, it's all about saying what's true and then the wizardry disappears. And that's why they hate me. That's why they're not like killing me. That's why I'm not like deplatformed from Patreon. I'll show you exactly how to handle that shit. Because they know it'll only make me stronger. Because when you don't blink, when you blink, they destroy you. When you blink, or if you take their money or if you take their power, they will destroy you. They eat their own. They're cannibals. If you truly have the fearless truth mentality and you just look them in the eye and you just go, stop fucking the kids. They back out. They're gone. They are such cowards. Like, look what happened to that bear that got rid of in medical school. That I'm so proud of that dude. So proud of everybody for that. Like that saved kids. That they were teaching that transgenderism in children isn't a mental illness, and he was torn up about it. And we talked a lot with the bears about like what to do, how to not throw away $250,000 of debt in a career, but at the same time stay moral. And he got a Jew lawyer, and he recorded. I don't remember if he recorded or not, but he confronted the people properly enough where he could isolate individuals so that they had their fear response and they couldn't work as an institution, and they took it out of the curriculum because no one wants to do this shit. All right, so let's check out Trump. Watch Trump. This is a classic. And the only way to try and beat Trump is through mockery, and it doesn't work with real legends like us. Watch how he handles Hillary. Watch. Hillary is the definition of a wizard. She's dressed like Mao Zedong meets a crayon, right? These are outfits. She does spirit cooking. She's murdered, what, 80 people? She's a serial killer. She doesn't pull the trigger, but she's the queen. She's a Black Widow. And I said that like a year ago, and people were like, "You've really lost it." Same people right now are like, "Dude, she's a killer. She's even worse than you can possibly think." She's dark arts, dude. Dark arts. All right, watch how Trump handles it. And this is what you do going forward. And it's not about anger. It's not about insults. It's not about ego. It's about just saying exactly what's happening. They can't fucking touch it. Watch this.
Well, Chris, I am on record as saying that we need to put more money into the Social Security Trust Fund. That's part of my commitment to raise taxes on the wealthy. My Social Security payroll contribution will go up, as will Donald's, assuming he can't figure out how to get out of it. But what we want to do is to replenish the Social Security Trust Fund by making sure that we have sufficient resources. And that will come from...
Let's analyze this. The problem with dark magic, guys, and I suspect that, pretty good guys like Theo Von and guys like that, like they're dabbling in this world. It eliminates your autonomy. Hillary couldn't stop talking. She wasn't in the moment. She was doing dark arts. She was doing a spell. What she was doing is saying the triggers are rich people bad, right? Which is not true. That's one of the reasons I love the movie. Sorry, I didn't sleep last night. It's like one of my favorite movies. I talk about it all the time. The Edge. It's one of the only movies where the hero is a billionaire. Watch movies. The rich guy is always the bad guy. And there are bad rich guys. There are bad Jews. There are bad Nazis. These are all psychological operations. That's why sometimes I'll be doing like a racial joke or a Jew joke or something, and you feel like you should be offended, but you're not, because you realize what I'm doing is what it would be like without these psychological operations. You just say this shit, and nothing happens. It's all wizard shit, right? So she's setting up her wizard, right? Because she is rich. She's corrupt. She's a thief. Every single person, I write off my office as a tax deduction. I write off shoes, like anything I can. No one wants to pay taxes. Any loophole they give us a game theory, right? Even if it's corrupt as shit, it's still game theory. You still can read the lips of your opponents in football. That's why they do this, right? So any loophole you're going to take, and rich people are not inherently bad. It just kind of magnifies who they are. It reveals their nature. So she's doing wizardry, and he just slaps that Pope hat right off his fucking head. Just rips that Mao Zedong outfit off and just goes, what a nasty woman. Because it was exactly true. She was being unnecessarily nasty. And people, Donald Trump's nasty. No, he's not. He's aggressive and he's a winner. I don't say he's done some shit that isn't winning lately, obviously. Like, there's some stuff. Like, he's got to really push on some of these issues. But, like, he's like with my policy with Amy, where it was like, I don't allow people to demean me. Sometimes you're wrong. Sometimes you misread it. Sometimes you say some shit. But watch Donald Trump's track record as the years go on. This is why I'm such a supporter. I wasn't in the beginning. Looking back, he was right about so much shit. He called her Crooked Hillary before people really knew about the Clinton Foundation. He was putting things into question that no one was putting into question and are now seen as fact. He never gets credit because he uses truth to beat dark arts. And I'm not saying he's a truth figure, but this is why evangelicals are on board with him, even though he's lived a fairly immoral life, which by the way is not anti-Christian as long as you repent and turn that shit around. Most Christians I know have had horrible problems and things in their life. I've had horrible addictions and envy and rage and lust and all that shit. Like any Christian that says, oh, he cheated on his wife 20 years ago, he's not a Christian. That's a liar. That's a magician. Christianity is based on being saved. It's the whole reason Jesus died. So many Christians can quote all this shit and they don't know anything about Christianity. It's fucking insane. It's so insane. And I've always been Christian. I just didn't know it. I just hated the institution of Christianity. I've always been this. I've always believed in right and wrong. And the dark arts are based in the concept of no right and wrong. And when people are like, oh, well, the Jews may have sank the Liberty or some shit or tried to sink some shit to get us into a war. Guys, I hate to tell you Santa Claus isn't real, but that's all of them. That's our entire Congress. They're all capable of hitting a button and drone striking weddings and shit. They're all capable of false flags. That's why when people say, like, why do you defend Jews so much? I can feel Jew hate growing. And you can hate the high ups in Israel. Like, Rabin was a piece of shit. You know, I don't know that much about the new guy. Delev loves him, but, you know, the nation heads are all psychopaths. All. Like, that's the difference. So it's like, could they have, like, done a false flag to get America into a false war and had nothing to do with 9/11? Of course. That's all these people do. They're all Satanists. And that's why I'm, like, very adamant about some of these positions where it's like, oh, I have to remove support from Patreon. It's like, where are you going to go? PayPal? Listen, I'm all about PayPal and Patreon, but they're the same monster. They're just different rungs. Visa, MasterCard, your drinking water, your roads, like how you get to work, the gasoline in your car. At what point do you admit that this is a fallen world and we're covered in blood? That will save you. That's what saved me. That's why I'm not one of these environmentalist cunts, because they're all liars. It's like, imagine the hell you have to live in when you don't admit the world's fallen, right? This may have been made by some little kid that tried to jump out of a window or some shit. Like, my gas has had wars fought over. Amy has a ring on her finger that might have been in some black guy's ass after he got his head chopped off. I have more space than I need while people live on the street. You know what I'm saying? There's blood everywhere. It's like, when you accept that, you don't get self-hate. Because when you don't accept that, when you take it as your moral responsibility to clean the world, you either end up Adolf Hitler or in a Prius. You know, it's like, there's no fixing the world. It's all fallen. I want the oceans to thrive. I want the people to make my clothes to go home to a loving family and feel like they have pride in their... We all do. We have to accept that our intentions are not to break the world more, but to admit it's broken. And you can't function unless you admit that to yourself. By all means. And that's why when people come at me in the littlest way, sometimes I'll just fucking tear them down, because I have a zero tolerance program for that. You want to call me a bigot or some shit? Whitney Cummings? I'll make sure people don't forget your name and that your face looks like a melted candle. Not because I hold a grudge, because intolerance is necessary. It's like, you got to show people, you come at me at all, I will fuck you up. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where it comes from. It's hypocrisy. And we're all hypocrites. You just have to accept it. Like, ladies and gentlemen, I am a hypocrite. I'm against war. I'm glad my gas is cheap. See, the act of knowing you're a hypocrite, ironically, makes you not a fucking hypocrite. See how this all works? This is all I can really contribute to society, but I know I'm right about all of this, by the way. This is like my main skill. All right, let's analyze this again. Watch the fact that she doesn't exist. So my point about the dark arts, don't get into it. You might think Hollywood's hard. You might think you want a nicer car. You might want that girl to like you. It's never worth it. This is one of the most powerful people in the entire world, Hillary Clinton. She's had children killed out of spite, revenge. She's hurt so many people by doing that. People won't, if she told people not to look at her in the eye, she could get, 4-star generals to look at their shoes. That's the power this witch has. She doesn't exist. Watch what happens to Wizards. This is Gollum. Watch. She can't adjust. Trump, for all his faults, is in the moment. He wasn't planning on calling her a nasty woman. He realized she was a nasty woman, and he reacted. And that's why he's the only person that's in my lifetime that's ever been able to beat the Wizards. Obama was one of the greatest wizards who ever existed. I like a lot of Reagan's policies. I'm glad I'm a Republican, I guess, in theory. Guys, I mean, Reagan was a total wizard. He was an actor. He was the head of the Screen Actors Guild. Granted, he used his wizardry for a lot of good in a lot of ways, but you got to be kidding. If you don't see him doing wizardry, it's because that's why Trump's like the anti-politician. Watch it again. Just watch this shit.
Him on record as saying that we need to put more money into the Social Security Trust Fund. That's
She practiced her smirking. Watch this.
part of my commitment to raise taxes on the wealthy. My Social Security payroll contribution will go up, as will Donald's, assuming he can't figure out how to get out of it.
That's a pre-written joke, by the way, from a team of writers that she rehearsed. You see how she pretended like she just thought of it? You want to see someone actually just think of something?
But what we want to do
this.
is to replenish the
Such
Social
a nasty
Security Trust Fund by making sure that we have sufficient resources.
stop.
And that will come from either raising the cap and or finding other ways to.
As it goes on, she looks like the smallest little ant. All the power. It's like that scene with the Joker. All the rage. And you can take nothing from me, right? And it like Trump didn't do it like, fuck you, Hillary Clinton. He just said what was true, showed her the same lack of respect that she was showing him for no reason. She's also in the wealthy class. Everyone knows she's a hypocrite. She's trying to put a spell on people. By the way, we didn't go to the moon. All right, whatever. It doesn't matter. And then he smiles. He just smiles like his smile says, I get to say the truth. And listen, he may be coached on some of these things. He may have ulterior motives. You can't teach that because you couldn't have predicted that. You could not have predicted that she was going to say that. He was in the moment, and that can only exist if you have a soul. Soulless people can't do that because they have no inner voice. Like when I riff on stage, and I'm blessed and lucky and grateful that I can do this, the only reason I can do it is because I trust myself. I have a soul. So something happens, I don't get scared. I don't just start rambling. I just react accordingly, and people clap because it's rare to see. Watch him smile at it. It's hysterical. He's like, everyone knows it. Like he literally is saying, you guys get it. Watch.
He can't figure out how to get out of it. But what we want to do is to replenish the Social Security Trust Fund by making sure.
Look at his face. He's like, it's the perfect way to put it. And I'm not sorry. This is like my sports center. It's just so beautiful to see a moment like this because what she was doing was evil crafting of arts, like dark arts. And all he did was just react in a world that can see what is in front of his face. Don't eat that. I love you, buddy, but come on. You're embarrassing yourself. Just run around sucking your own dick all day. All right, let's analyze it again. Like when he realizes what she is, he says it almost like it's a burden. Like it's like she's pathetic, and it's so genuine. It's like he like is looking down at her. Don't eat any of my stuff, George. You were eating rawhide, but one of the bears said that it might be bad for you, so we're gonna get you an actual bone soon. This, as a comedian and as a public speaker my whole life, you can't teach this, and this is just in a world full of darkness and magic and wizards and evil and corruption. This is why people support Donald Trump. This is why I support Donald Trump. It's just moments like this to just go, she is a nasty woman. Thanks, Don. Someone's like, but what about his lawyer? It's like, yeah, but he said she was a nasty woman, and she is, though. Let's watch it again.
The payroll contribution will go up, as will Donald's, assuming he can't figure out how to get out of it. But what we want to do is to replenish the
Social Security. He's like, pathetic. And then he does this. So good. And then watch us smirk after.
Trust fund by making
that.
sure
Nailed
that
it.
we have
Lympathetic.
sufficient resources. And that will come from either raising the cap and or finding other ways to get more money into it. I will not cut benefits. I want to enhance benefits for low income workers and for women who have been disadvantaged by the current Social Security system.
It's just brilliant. It just showed everything right there. He was the wizard killer. He still is the wizard killer. I mean, I have a lot of issues with him and I hold him accountable for a lot of stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like a fanboy, but like, it's breathtaking to witness. What a nasty woman. And then, so how did they react? They reacted with mockery, right? They started making nasty, they go, we're going to take back nasty woman. We're going to march and all these signs. We are nasty women. That's all dark arts. Why do you think I've been kind of going like getting so frustrated? Because when you see it, the world is so clear and we can all do so much better and prosper and be fruitful and multiply if we all just show it. Like, it's so easy to beat and it's the hardest thing to beat in the world. You know, it's like what they do is they take, that was so humiliating for her. Not that she was called nasty woman, but that it revealed she was rehearsed. She couldn't change her lane. She cucked right to him, this strong, powerful lesbian dressed like Mao Zedong. She didn't even address that he called her a nasty woman. And just to see his reaction was so human that all they could do is dark arts, which is become a victim, use mockery. This is why I'm disgusted by my own craft a lot of times, because comedy is so big in dark arts. Mockery, ridicule. That's why when people are like, you're pathetic, like, what has happened? When people appeal to authority and status and all that shit, and when people use shame, it's all dark arts. It's like, I am a nasty woman, Donald, and you are full of hate. It's like, Donald Drumpf. I remember watching Rachel Maddow call him Donald Drumpf. I'm like, you stupid Jew. Your last name was originally literally like Madoff. Rachel Maddow was a German, her family was German Jews. She changed her fucking last name just like Trump. And these wizards don't give a flying fuck. And one of the reasons there is a lot of Jews in wizardry is just because they're so literate. I will say that. There is a disproportionate amount of Jewish wizards. But when you're the people of the book, if you read for an extra couple thousand years more than everyone else, it's very tempting. All right. Now I got to tell you about, like, for example, I'll tell you about a guy. Yeah, he's a Jew, whatever, but they're not all Jews. I'll stop doing that bit. I really don't have anything against Jews at all. But I wrote down some notes about this guy. He's a fascinating guy. So this guy's name is, there's a book called The Power Broker that's unbelievable. Highly recommended. I think it's called The Power Broker. But his name was Robert Moses, and he ran for like governor of New York or something, and he lost by the biggest margin in history. And he's also seen, maybe next to Rockefeller, as the most powerful person who's ever lived in America. And you don't even know his name. When you paid a quarter to cross every bridge in New York City, it all went to him. And the way he would do it was dark arts. He would take a contract and he would subvert it and make it the opposite. It's just like Patreon and Twitter and other terms and conditions where it's like, we are here for the artist and we are here for safety. And it's really the opposite. You know how they do that? So he would structure contracts where, you know, there would be a public fund or like a public trust for like the toll to make the bridge, and then they'd pay it off and whatever. And then in like wizard print, it would be like, well, in the event of blah, 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 LLC, blah, blah. He got every dollar, just went right to Robert Moses. And this is what made him such a powerful dark wizard. He didn't care about money. So neither did Bernie Madoff. Some of the biggest rent seekers in our nation, these leeches, these vampires, don't even care about money. They care about power. They want to be the system so that you can't affect them. So he would use all that money to, lobby and buy people and all that until he was all of New York. Like, you couldn't get a building done. You couldn't do shit. And his fetish was low-income housing. This is why always, when Hillary Clinton's like, I'm here to protect the blacks and the women, and these people, these wizards, hate the vulnerable. They hate them because it reminds them of themselves because they don't exist, right? So Moses would pretend to be a philanthropist. It's like Rockefeller and all these fucking wizards. And he built all those low-income housing for the inner city blacks. They're still there, right? Do you know why he did it the way he did it? And this is all fact. This is fact. This is like scholarly, like the guy who wrote this book wrote like Johnson's memoirs and all this shit. This is all history. He wanted poor people to feel horrible. So he purposely made it ugly. Remember my podcast about architecture and why communists and Obama and all these people, they purposely take beauty out of things? Moses famously, right in plain daylight, he wanted the poor to feel poor. So he would construct the low-income housing to look as ugly and to be as sardined, like unnecessarily. He would waste money. He didn't care about money. He wanted punishment. He hated black people, right? To a degree, and he accomplished real racism. Not like, man, I don't like how they talk. No, that's not fucking hate. That's just normal. No one likes how anyone talks. It's not a big deal. I think black people are kind of violent. You think? That's not what I'm talking about. So this is what Moses did. He opens up Jones Beach. This is what the devil does. This is wizard shit, right? You appear to be this great guy. He opens up Jones Beach for you, the people, for all the low-income people can enjoy it, right? But he didn't want any black people. He didn't want any poor people there. None. So what did he do? What did this genius wizard do? This is why money can hold you back from truth and darkness. I don't think George Soros gives a shit about money. I think he's just a true destroyer. Do you know how he did it? You're not going to believe this. All right. So, are you guys listening? Go to the... what are you guys talking about? Adderall sucks. Heroin is the way to go. Yeah, they're both pretty... I just like beers and coffee. If I'm driving 20 hours, I'll pop some Addies. But prescription, not illegal. But I don't like that mentality. But whatever. Don't give them to kids. Don't give the... But anyway, so he wanted to make sure there was no blacks in Jones Beach. So what did he do? He made all the bridges, every bridge. And he had bought all of it so he could just do all this shit. He made every bridge 9'8". Can anyone guess why? Can anyone guess why he made all the bridges 9'8"? Can anyone guess? Anybody? Someone guess. Keep the wizards and spell. Buses. You got it exactly right, Sean. He said laws can be changed. You can't take down bridges. Isn't that fucking... that exists in the world. Like that level of cunning where it's like, you won't be able to fit your bus under this bridge. And people can overturn laws, but no one's going to take down that bridge. He's the type of guy who was probably living in a 3-bedroom house. I mean, that's the nature of wizardry. I just wanted to share that little story. I'm going to get out of here. I think I talked about everything I wanted to. Oh, words that manipulate. Free, the word imagine, and the word you. Martin Luther King Jr. was an epic wizard. That's one reason why I don't give him a lot of credit. Because as someone who understands wizardry completely, even though I agree with freedom and dreams and all that shit, I'm just watching him as a rhetoric artist. And, okay, the word free and the number 3. Okay, this is like potions. This is so hard to construct. I've never even tried because I hate the fact that this exists, kind of. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. He said free 3 times. That was the culmination of it. The word free, the word imagine, and you. When someone says you, it's always you. That was one of the biggest strokes in wizard history. He starts with, I have a dream. And everyone's had a dream. But everyone's curious about what your dream is, right? You see how it's the breadcrumbs. This isn't always evil, guys. Like, every good storyteller has a little wizard in him, you know? Like, just being a good storyteller. But it can be used to crush, you know, to push heroin and take jobs and kill babies, you know? Wizardry made Planned Parenthood a thing. This is why I care about this shit. But, like, so look at what he does. He says, I have a dream. And he doesn't start big. He starts small. You want to know why Peterson and people like that start with almost a whisper? My uncle taught me this. My uncle's a trained hypnotist. He's also hunts elephants and shit, but he's never hunted a giraffe because he respects the height. But you talk quiet to force people to listen. I talk the way I talk because I refuse to be a wizard on purpose. Sometimes I catch myself. Not gonna lie. Every now and then I catch myself doing rhetorical questions and shit and planting seeds. But there's no good from that. And when you talk like that, it's passive aggressive. Everyone knows the passive aggressive. Your buddy's passive aggressive wife that you have to say what 8 times so she can act like a cunt, right? It's like, what? What? I said, right? Wizard shit, right? So he starts off, I have a dream. That level. He ends with, you know, I might be confusing speeches, but it's always the same arc. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. He does Negro spiritual music. That's all. That's structure. That's all wizard shit. And I love music. You know, I get that vibe too, where it's like, Farrakhan is a king of that shit. He talks like a preacher, like a blues slave. It's in your DNA. It's in all our DNA. We were all slaves at some point. You're in the field. Birds flying high. You know how it feels. Sun in the sky. You know how right? Farrakhan could literally be like, my brothers and sisters. All right, what you got, Farrakhan? Right, I'm with you. We must clean the penis. Brother Farrakhan speaks from the Lord, speaks the truth. I don't know what Muzzies say. Do they say the Lord? I don't even know. We must look at my penis and say, penis be damned. Penis, clean yourself. You can say nothing. It's the way he's talking. And it's like, that's why he can say all this Jew shit and people applaud him. That's why I don't hate Muslims. I hate witchcraft, and I don't like Islam. I hate Islam. But I'm watching a Farrakhan audience, and as much as I mock Jews, they fucking deserve it, by the way. They are not termites. Israel has a right to exist. These are insane things to say. And I'm watching dudes, and I know a lot of dudes that convert to like Islam in prison and shit. I know like street black dudes that are like trying to get by, but they're conspiracy theory guys. Big time. Big time. And I can see how they get manipulated and shit. And that's why, like, you know, I want to help break spells. It's like, I am not an anti-Semite. No, you're not, Farrakhan. Listen, they're already agreeing with him. Like, yeah, don't be an anti-Semite. They don't have an opinion. They're Jordan Peterson fans, right? Some of these Nation of Islam brothers are fucking just empty shells. They'll just do anything Farrakhan says because he's a king, dragon, wizard, right? I am not anti-Semite. You hear people agreeing with him. Like, yeah, fuck being anti-Semite. And he goes, I am anti-termite. And they go, oh, yes, you are. Let's kill them Jews. That rhymed. If you truly understand how easily manipulated people are and how much they just want to be loved and hear that music and be around strength and something to believe in, and it's like, of course, if you're not ready to admit, this is one thing Jordan Peterson said that was true as fuck. If you're not ready to admit that in 1942, there's a good chance you were right there, you can't be good because you don't admit you're capable of evil. I am not an anti-Semite. No, you're not. Preach up. It's music, dude. As a musician and a comedian, I'm in a unique position to literally be like, this is what they're doing here. This is what they're doing. Just please share this shit. I really think we can beat all of it. I know it's a fallen world, but let's get back to like 1950s fallen world. You know, like the shit that they demonize and make it look like patriarchy and all that. We're like, you don't know that many divorced parents. You don't say fuck around your grandmother. 15-year-olds aren't having threesomes and getting high-fived by teachers. Heroin isn't killing all your friends. You play catch with your dad who works hard. Your mom gets to stay home. That's still a fallen world because the world's fallen. But we can get back there. There's wizards in real positions of power. I don't believe we're in the end times. I think that we've let the wizards in, and we need to educate each other, not to practice this shit, to spot it. Because once you can spot it, it doesn't work on you very easily. You know? Unless you're in a really vulnerable position. I still blame that for why I fell so hard for Peterson. You know, like my buddy just died. I just moved. I just been blacklisted from Hollywood. I needed truth. I needed something to believe in. It's like that Poison song. Just give me something to believe in. And I fell for something I normally wouldn't have fallen for. All right, I'm going to read the super chats real quick out of respect. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this and hit the like button. And the whole reason I was staying up in the first place was to get Kyington Bear. He finished the special tonight, and I wanted to stay up for it. And I'm sure he fell asleep like a sweet boy because I don't see it in my email. But hugepianist.com. Oh, by the way, imagine is the second biggest word after free. Imagine by John Lennon. It's nonsense. What was I just going to say? I lost all of it. Oh, yeah. Pre-order right now, because I thought by the end of this I'd have it up. But Kyington works really hard. He's a sweet, sweet prince. He's probably sleeping like a little angel. But pre-order right now because it'll be up tomorrow, and it's fucking funny, guys. It's called Conspiracy Queries. One of the newer art bears. I forgot his bear name right now, but I tagged him on Instagram. Follow him. This is incredible work. Artling Hartling should not have been so sensitive about the moon because there's a lot of good men and women out there just cranking out art, and maybe I never would have even seen this if Artling Hartling hadn't overreacted to an obvious. Guys, we didn't go to the moon. Like, as a good wizard, it kind of hurts to see people fall for it. Oh, and one more, like, real quick. Oh, dude, I got more. Sorry. I'm not sorry. I got to show you moon wizardry. Okay, here is. I forgot this part. This is one of the best parts. Neil deGrasse Tyson and Buzz Aldrin doing some of the most high-level witchcraft I've ever seen. This is the psychological operation called the moon landing, guys. What? This is so by design, and it's so brilliant if it wasn't so goddamn evil. All right, where is it? I just opened it. Where's Neil deGrasse Tyson? And please, by all means, make clips of this and upload them to your channel. Some dude was bitching that, because I read most of the comments, because I want to know what you guys genuinely think about stuff. And some dude was like, the story about Sacha Baron Cohen revealing that should be its own video. Why is it 2 hours in? I was like, I don't know. Why don't you clip it out and put it on your own channel and stop bitching? Like, please, clip this shit and share it. Make money on it. It's like, I just want people to fucking know, so I'm not raised in a world where I have to be like, oh, 7-year-olds now just learn about sodomy, because that's the world we live in. All right, let me do this. By the way, it's raining super hard here. It's very magical. That's the wrong one, but I might play that for you, though, anyway. Okay, here's Neil deGrasse Tyson. And let's analyze this shit. Ready? And I got this from Edge of Wonder, Strong Pod.
And had I known that our first steps on the moon would essentially be our last steps on the moon, I would have done somersaults. I would have said, oh my gosh, this is a unique moment in the history of our species. Never to happen again. Let me revel and celebrate and pop champagne cork.
Okay. Try and get your own theory as to what he did so that way you can work on your own muscle of decoding it. To anybody listening, he just said we only went to the moon once and never went back. The word essentially allows people to stay in their matrix. What he did was by design. Someone that smart, someone that scientific and precise with his words, he doesn't go, our first steps would essentially be our last, and if I had known we would never go back, I would have popped champagne. The word essentially allows people to develop their deception muscle, right? It's like saying, my cousin works for the state and is a whistleblower, right? And I'm like, and it's like, oh, he's a lifeguard. See what I'm saying? That's intentional deception. He's a whistleblower for the state. He's a lifeguard, dude. He blows whistles and he works for the state. Why are you so paranoid? That's intentional wizardry, right? He literally says, it's not even half-truths. It's a little way out. It's a little tiny way out so that you believe it. You know, it's kind of like people that won't call out abuse where it's like, oh yeah, the kid falls down the stairs every week. Just anything that allows people to maintain their delusion. I'll show you Buzz Aldrin. He does the same thing. At first I thought poor Buzz is just an old idiot. But now that I saw Tyson and I've thought about it more, I realize what that sly son of a bitch was up to. Hang on. And I know some of you guys have seen this. Wait till you see this shit. I'm going to have to download it again. It's worth it. Yeah, cut this up and go to Owen Benjamin Clips. Hopefully Base Texan makes a bunch of these because there's a lot of information in this. And whenever I go over 2 hours, I lose views over 2 hours. Hey, George, stop it. So I know it isn't effective, but again, I'm not a brand guy. Where the fuck is that Buzz Aldrin thing? I'll just tell you. So Buzz Aldrin's getting interviewed by a little girl. And she's like, why didn't we go back to the moon? And he basically says, we never went to the moon because we didn't. And then later he says like, and the whole world rejoiced that we went. So there, you can clip 30 full seconds of him telling a little girl that we didn't go to the moon. And then an idiot coward can later be like, oh no, later he cleared it all up. I made a point that there's a 700 degree temperature difference on the surface of the moon in a 12-hour period. How can you have functioning electricity and transmit 290,000 miles when you have at most 12 volts and you haven't invented a cell phone yet? And I know there's a difference between heat and temperature. It's not the factor you think it is. That's one of those wizard things. A 700 degree difference. And those moon boots aren't fucking helping, guys. Sorry. Electricity isn't functioning. And you have nowhere near the power or the dish or the ability to focus on the position. It's not happening. But people will literally be like, well, they timed it so the temperature fluctuation was only 400 degrees. It's like, I thought they timed it for the Van Allen belt that they didn't know existed. There is a 0% chance that we went to the moon. It's one of the most brilliant psyops ever. The Holocaust did happen. The psyop is making Hitler special, making Hitler a trigger word. Buzz said it's evil. Yo, yeah. People were murdered during the Nassau shit. So when I'm losing, I'm not going to say names or ever bring beef, but like, just for the record, you fucking high and mighty right-wing people with power and influence and have all, when you tell me that you're worried about my brain because of the moon landing, it's so dumb. You're so out of your element, it's not even close. I used to do a physics podcast where I like interviewed some of these guys. And I'll say that. It's like, that doesn't mean you're a scientist. You're just a podcaster. Maybe I know some shit. Maybe I know some people that say some shit didn't happen. I'm just saying maybe. I just don't want my argument to rest on gossip that I can't prove. We didn't go to the moon. Of all the shit that I've stood my ground on, how often have I been like crazy wrong? I've been wrong, but not like. All right, you're a funny mofo. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, Mr. Big Bear. Happy New Year too. Love from Ohio. Might be verified as Deep Bear. Welcome, Deep Bear. Want to know who lived in Ohio? Neil Armstrong, who was a liar. He lived in Lebanon, Ohio. His name was Robert Paulson. His name was exactly. Well, see, but there's elements of Wizardry and Fight Club, obviously, but you only get a name in death. Huh? Think about how I could do a whole pod just on that. I mean, that's what the media does with Republicans. As soon as you die, you're a hero. Like John McCain dies, he's a hero. CNN says John McCain's a hero. They were just calling him a Nazi. George Herbert Walker Bush dies. That man, George Herbert Walker Bush, when you die is the only time you're celebrated. Do you understand how fucking satanic that is? The living deserve ridicule, murder, lies, death, poverty, self-destruction, and insanity. But in death, you get a name. That's why I've always enjoyed the joke that this is a cult. This is the opposite of a cult. I'm teaching you how to deprogram cults. If you want to leave, get the fuck out. I will never force you to do shit. I don't want to fuck your wife. Aside from paypal.me/feedthebear, I don't need your money, and that's all voluntary. And if you have any weird feelings about me at all, I cannot reiterate strongly enough. I think I already have too many fans. It's uncomfortable. Please, get the fuck out. All right, businesses are also sorcerers, and if you see them wearing red leather human shoes, run. Yep, that's a trigger. It's got to be in plain sight. Has to do with the Wizard of Oz, which, all right. Keeping the federal government shut down forever is much more important than funding for the wall. Let the revolution begin. Don't pay them anything. You missed the whole thing. I love your spirit. You're right, but it's a snow day. It's like they're still getting paid. They just don't have to work. And thank God our military and our government employees that actually work are getting paid, because a lot of these people have to make ends meet. When you got a Marine, who's not getting paid because of dumb shit, that's horrible. But they feel none of this pain. None. They're all getting paid. We actually may lose money because of it. And look at the border wall funding. It's like, we're all in agreement. The left will try crowdsource something. If George Soros doesn't throw in money, it ends up being like $40. A fucking amputee veteran starts a fucking GoFundMe to raise the money for the wall. This is an inspirational act. If you won't do it, government, we the people will raise the money to secure our future. What does a high-level wizard say, Jimmy Kimmel? Donating money for a wall that will never exist. It's like starting a college fund for Harry Potter. It's a waste. You do have to admire the sacrifice they're making. I mean, a lot of these people are dipping into their meth money for this. Anyone who knows meth heads knows meth heads are not giving up any money. And also, how fucking... See, these people, they deserve the hell they live in, and they deserve far more. He just put down... Hey, Georgie, stop it. George, are you eating metal? He just put down a vet who lost his limb serving our country to crowdsource our own security, and he made a meth joke and compared us to Harry Potter. By the way, they're wrong all the time. Go back and watch like reels of people saying Donald Trump will never be president and laughing and sorcerizing. They require you to not speak truth. If you do that, they're right. If you speak truth, that wall will be built without question, and Jimmy Kimmel will never apologize. He'll pretend it never happened. He makes persona non gratas, don't speak, don't tell, don't hear. Just like when Joe fucking thumbface Rogan, when one of his fucking, someone on his podcast was like, why does the Improv even have a piano on stage? Like, I can't name a single piano player that does comedy. And fuckface Rogan, 5'6" fuckface, even though I've done his podcast 3 times and he's told me he literally loves me, doesn't say, oh, my buddy Owen Benjamin is a classically trained pianist, and he's painted on the wall of the Improv. My mural, I'm painted on the wall. My picture is hanging up next to Chris fucking Rock. I used to play that piano 3 nights a week. I'd stay there till 5 in the morning with Craig Robinson, singing songs and drinking, playing piano. Joe Rogan fucking Stalined my name. He erased me from a picture. And that's not aggressive. It goes against one of my principles that I don't call out people who don't say shit publicly. But that's another wizard tactic that I'm not quite sure how to deal with. But I do know that the only, like, just being hilarious and a good guy beats all that shit. Because he can keep, erasing people's memories all he wants and keep pretending that he fucking understands the moon situation. But all he does is paint himself into a little faggot corner with his faggot friends, apologizing about being white as they fly around there with stupid helicopters. Bill Burr can go fuck himself. He's funny as fuck, and I like him as a person. He's a conspiracy guy in a lot of ways. George! He apologized on behalf of white people last Rogan. At this point, that's almost unforgivable for me. If you apologize for mine and my family's race, and I'm even mixed race kike spick according to actual Nazis, George! Get over here. Come here. You're not going over there anymore. You're eating metal. I'm not mad at you. It's for your own good, buddy. You're going to eat fucking metal. Half my comments are going to be like, well, the best way to train a dog. I don't know what I was talking about. I haven't slept. No, fuck Bill Burr. You got to understand. Stop it. You're staying. You're not allowed over there anymore. There's no virtue and loyalty to people who sell out your family's fucking race. No, Bill, you don't get to say, I'm sorry for me. I'm not guilty of shit for having white skin, you racist, redheaded faggot. It's like, dude, I have white kids. On behalf of, like, apologizing for white people? No. There's good people and bad people. Never, ever, ever do that again. And no, just because he's had some funny specials and sometimes he used to get it with some things and he's still probably funnier than 90% of the comedians. Don't ever apologize on my racial behalf, you redheaded queer. You helicopter flying, sodomy craving ginger faggot. And by the way, the Bill Burr that I liked did that to the city of Boston, I think. Was it Boston? No, it wasn't Boston. It was, I always have problems there too. It was Philadelphia. He ripped Philadelphia apart for 15 minutes based on their open and obvious unjustified hostility and hypocrisy. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Him apologizing on behalf of white people makes me think he's an absolute sellout cunt. And there's no virtue and loyalty to people like that. Don't think it's cool to be like, I love Bill. No, you fucking don't. Do you love people? Do you love people that are white? Are you cool that Bill Burr just fucking apologized for them? For what? For founding the fucking country? Bill Burr has a black wife. Does he like the fact that white people were the first people in the history of the world to make slavery illegal? Oh yeah. Nigeria did in 2007. So I'm pretty sure it's been a pretty good run. Christian white people said black people have just the same, Jesus died for them as much as us. They were the people that proposed the end of fucking bondage. We accomplished it. I had members of my family fight in the Civil War, both sides, if you know what I mean. But it's like, no, fuck you guys. It's like, how about apologize for fucking Nigeria or like Sierra Leone right now? I mean, like, Sierra Leone, you can buy human meat on the street. And when people are like, oh, that's because of white people. The Jews were almost killed off completely by Mean Mr. Mustache. They currently own everything. Like, no. You can't do that to people. There's forces, and I'm not like one of these people that thinks it's like super race heavy or anything like that. It's about strength of a people. There's extremely strong nations in Africa and some real fucked up ones where they kill albinos and rape their heads because they think it cures AIDS. I mean, please, Wizard, give me an argument for that one and tell me I'm racist for calling that out. But never, ever, 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 ever apologize for white people again, you redheaded queen. Because people like that take it in their asshole. I don't know how else to put it. When you see a guy like Bill Burr cuck that hard and be like, yeah, you know, men really are bad and white people, like, we're bad. It's like, that guy takes dick in his ass. Because that amount of self-hatred has to come from some type of asshole touching. No, Bill Burr just has a kid. I have 2 kids. Oh, Bill Burr's kids are mixed race? My kids are mixed race. Keep hitting excuses. Having a kid either makes you a nonsense wizard monster because you're just a fucking, or it makes you a truth teller. When you look at your kid and you say, am I going to tell him that Aziz Ansari's funny and that Santa Claus actually completes that mission with a literal sleigh? Am I going to be a liar or not? Am I going to say Bill Burr should apologize on my racial behalf? In 6 months, that'll look pathetic. When there's an uprising, which there is, this is all going to look very different. Look back at Ebola. Look back at Ilian Gonzalez or any of this stupid shit. Look back at Cecil the Lion. Look back at CNN 2 weeks ago. Look back at Russia collusion, Stormy Daniels. It ages like shit. And Bill Burr is a great comedian and should understand that, like, albums have to age right. And if you start drinking that jizz and start being like, white people are bad, it's like, in 20 years, people will spit on your album and say, that racist cuck. We almost lost our entire country. And I don't want a whites-only country. Nobody does. I want a country that exists. Man, it's fucked up. Like when people have nationalist qualities because they have they don't want to die, they don't want their family to die, and they call you a racist when, like, my wife is a Hispanic woman. Her dad is like one of these brown border jumping fucking Mexicans. Do you think I hate my kids? Because these are now fighting words. You know, it's like Vox Day when people are like, nationalism is not based in racism. If France invades Italy and we fight them, it isn't because we hate white people. Black people built this country alongside white people and the Chinamen with their fucking railroads and the Hispanics with their food and their hats. Of course I'm doing wizard shit right now to be funny. I'm saying a truth and complimenting a people as I'm doing odd little demeaning things. That's just for comedy. I know what I'm doing, obviously. But you don't get to flood our country and outbreed us so that we don't have a nation, because that's what they did to American Indians. And the reason Vox Day is like that is because he's fucking American Indian. And when people say, but he looks white, it's because they outbred them, took their God, their fucking language, and put them on a reservation with fucking heroin for Indians, which is booze and sugar, and said, peace. Sound fucking familiar? It's happening to white people, Bill Faggot Burr. It's like, yeah, you fly around in a helicopter. My buddy Guck has buried 18 dudes from heroin. So are you apologizing for those guys? They're all white. You fucking queen. I need to get some sleep. Everything I just said was true, though. Bill Burr is a follower in Joe Rogan's footsteps. How can you follow Joe Rogan? He's 5'6". What leader? If I was standing in front of Joe Rogan, I would think he disappeared. I would be like, where's my friend Joe Rogan? And someone would be like, way down there. I'd be like, where? No, like, men are right here. Like, where's Joe Rogan? And they're like, no, like, do that. And then I'd way down, I'd see a shiny bald head. And I'd be like, hey, buddy, And I know Joe Rogan could beat the fuck out of me. I know he could buy and sell everything I own. I know that he sells out stadiums and I don't. He speaks lies and he's short. Why the fuck do people all act like money does shit? A stadium of people loving you is only cool if you're like 20 and single and love blowjobs. Other than that, what the fuck is that? I just like good people. The people that like need tons of people and love abortion and shit like that are fucking strangers. You ever wonder why they're like that? Why they want to meet the most amount of humans possible? Why they're for baby killing? No human being that has had a baby that they love that's at all good is super into abortion after. If you've never went through the process, I can understand that position. I used to have that position because I had no idea and I was indoctrinated by a shitload of spells. But like, Joe Rogan is not a leader. And I used to follow him. It's just we're so deficient of leaders. He's 5'6". Like if he was a king on a horse, would he like if they hadn't invented booster seats or phone books, like how would the soldiers have seen him? Like when he was like, freedom, and they'd be like, who just said that? Who just said that? Joe is a bully? Of course he's a bully. Of course he's a bully, man. And he's a bully who pretends to be an advocate for the weak. That's why I got so pissed off. It's because I like loved him for what he did for me. I loved him for what he said to Carlos Mencia. And then I realized that it's all spells. When people are actually down, when Alex Jones gets banned from everything and called a hate monger, a guy that Joe's been friends with since the late 90s. Yeah, I think Alex is crazy because he thinks we went to the moon. But Joe fucking went. Boop. Never had him on. He's like, yo, my schedule. I talked to him on the phone about that, and I called him out on that. And we had a nice conversation. But I believed him at the time. He was like, dude, my schedule is crazy right now, and I'm trying to... Joe, your show is paid for by the dildos and the pocket pussies you sell and all the bullshit Dr. Oz fucking male vitality shit. Who's making your schedule? Like, you have all the freedom in the world. That's why people follow you. You can build an archery range and drive any car you want and smoke weed and fuck and pump iron. You're the freedom guy. You're Gary Johnson weed guy. But you're a slave to your schedule? Really? Really, Joe? Or is that a spell? Is that cowardly? And enjoy yourself up there. You know, when I was dating Christina Ricci and I'm at a party watching one of the Versace's pound blow and Lenny Kravitz is like talking to me about... No, I almost said something that wasn't true. Lenny Kravitz wasn't talking to me about music. I was just trying to like illuminate it. That level of shit was happening the whole time though. It wasn't that. It just sounds funny. I literally try and keep myself in check. In those moments of emptiness, because I was far from my brother and shit like that, I learned all of it. Like as far as males go, men don't need a lot of shoes and fancy shit unless they take it in their ass. When you're having sex with a movie star and you're at a high level in one of the most impossible things in the world, and movie stars are telling you you're talented, and people that, you know, used to be your fucking email password, you were such a fan, you're like helping to their car, and you're like, holy fuck, this is what the top looks like. And there was nothing there. To the point where I'm like, okay, you give up your free will, you give up your ability to respond to Donald Trump calling you a nasty ass woman. For what? A car? Being able to fuck a movie star? Guess what? It's not even in the same realm as someone you love or the love of your life, to the point where it's pathetic. It's pathetic that I ever thought it was cool. Where I was like, and Christina's cool. I'm not knocking the relationship. It's just so many people would be like, oh my God, you dated Christina Ricci? What's that like? I'm like, well, I did just play Bach. You know, it's like, yeah, but what's she like? I'm like, just like a lot of actresses. She's pretty interesting and insanely insecure, and, you know, probably drinks too much because it's childhood shit. And, you know, I don't think we're going to last, to be honest with you. The lie. She is cute. I'm not knocking her. I'm just trying to make a point that idol worship, and that's the whole point of NASA. And I don't give a fuck that I'm at 2.5 hours. I'm spouting some good shit right now. The whole point of NASA is to keep your eyes up. How the fuck do people not see this? Okay, look at the cover of Cosmo. Look at the cover of, watch Runway Models. This is good. This is going to sound piggish, but it's really not at all. You know it's not a brag. I'm trying to make a point. I've had one-night stands with women on the cover of magazines that I thought were annoying and didn't call back. Okay? There's nothing there. And there's going to be a percentage of people that just misinterpreted that and was, oh, it must be nice. I'm trying to say something without envy trigger. Being with my wife is so unbelievable that I want to believe in heaven so I think I can see her again. It's like that deep. I have a weird relationship with the afterlife. I have a really hard time believing it because it seems too good to be true that I can spend more time with my family. The thought that me and Amy will be apart someday is gut-wrenching. It's love on a level that I can't explain. I met her walking dogs. She's never been on a fucking magazine. Okay, so that's one wizard spell, right? Look up to Hollywood. Man, if only I could hang out with Joe Rogan. It's not that fun. You do way too many drugs. Duncan Trussell is the weirdest dude on the planet. Bert Kreischer is always drinking 30 beers and trying to suck your dick. You know, what's there? Like, what is that? What is that? Is that better than your friends and your fire and your brother? Of course it's not. It's actually insane. And everyone has to talk about how cool his wolf looks in his samurai sword. It's a form of hell. So once people figure that out, you have to have the way secret societies and pyramids of power work. It's always trying to get the next thing. It's like Scientology. It's like, well, what's on planet Zumanji? It's like, well, we're not going to tell you. It's like, I just got to know, though. They're like, all right, well, wear this ridiculous necklace. Pledge your loyalty to all your friends and family so you'll feel embarrassment to ever leave. Help kill this kid so we got a secret on you. And then we'll tell you. And they're like, I just got to know. And then they tell you and you're like, oh, so it's all nothing. And they're like, yeah, but now you can't leave, right? Okay, so when people do this, the stars in the galaxy are more infinite than all the sand in the universe. Guys, they're trying to keep people's eyes off reality, off truth. Your life is not going to be in the stars. You're never going to go to the moon. There's never going to be a civilization on Mars. We don't have condos in Greenland. We have an ozone layer perfectly designed for the way we are. We have something that keeps the solar wind out. We got an ozone layer. We have an atmosphere. We have drinkable water. You know, we're immune to most of the diseases. Mars is death immediately to any organism who sets foot on it. We don't want to go to Greenland no more. To be able to travel, and I think a lot of what they're saying, by the way, are lies. But just seeing what they're saying, like 100 light years, like, watch Avatar. That could be you running through the forest with a new body, like an Avatar. It's getting creepy, right? Because that's really happening now. People are living through avatars, and they're demonizing the rich, the stockholders. We killed our mother. Remember that shit? No, we didn't. We're not killing the earth. It's all predictive programming. We killed our mother, and now we're here with the balanced people. Real quick point about the balanced people in that movie. Remember when he unified the tribes, the 5 tribes? Kind of like the Sunnis and the Shiites and all that. Do you understand those blue monkeys were fighting each other nonstop? There was no peace. There was no peace. White people didn't make war. It's like that's the whole point of the movie Apocalypto. It's like all that shit was going down and then they saw white people. It's wizard shit. So we're stuck up there just going, how big is Uranus? And Neil deGrasse Tyson's going, I bet you'd like to know. We have no capability of getting to the moon. We just need to convince people to do this and keep their eyes off God. Christians can totally believe that the moon landing happened and still be cool in my book. But just know there's a good chance it's to keep people's eyes away from Jesus Christ. And I've made a pretty good fucking case. I'm going to read a couple super chats. I see Amy and the kids now. She's going to think I'm a crazy person. BB, my wife and I are pregnant with our third son. His name will be Frederick Owen Cock. Can I be verified as Bear Cock? Welcome, Bear Cock. It's Koch. Congratulations, my friend. And Owen's a strong name. It used to suck because to throw mama from the train, people would be like, Owen. And it was a black name or Irish or Welsh. And now, ever since Jurassic Park, because the Wizards made a movie about the dinosaurs, people like the name Owen. You're very intuitive and full of wisdom. Thank you, Silver Sister Hippie Chick. You can't show people, they have to have a desire to find out the truth for themselves. The problem you're having is thinking that all other people think like we do. I completely believe that and think about that. I'm not trying to reach them. I'm not trying to sell out stadiums. I'm not trying to change the mind of the intentionally deceived. I'm trying to change my mind from 3 years ago. I think about me 5 years ago, and I want to talk to that guy. And there's a lot of you guys out there. That's the guy I'm talking to. I'm not trying to do a psyop. Don't back down from the forever shutdown. The federal government. Oh, I read that one. The heliocentric model is theoretical wizardry, bro. I know. That's why the flat earth thing actually has an element of sense to it. That's why I admitted early that I'm not going to call you guys idiots. I can't conceive of that. I can't. Oh, yeah. You don't think I know about sun worship and why our Sabbath is on Sunday and all this shit and why the psychology behind trying to make people think we're flying through a void? How Isaac Newton is one of the biggest alchemist fucking occult psychos ever to live. He's trying to make the Sorcerer's Stone, which turned out to be the Federal fucking Reserve. Guys, I know all this shit. I'm just being honest. I think the Earth's round. I think the sun. I think we revolve around the sun. And that's not out of fear. I can't fucking think the Earth is flat. Even though when you say that shit, trust me, part of me is like, oh boy, there's more. Merry Christmas, Owen and family. Oh, and by the way, people that tell me I'm stupid for that, just know you're so stupid you can't comprehend of something like that. Because I know what that's like. I know what it's like to think like anyone who thinks the Earth is flat is a functioning retard. Of course. But you have to understand there's another realm of thought that can, like, what if it is? That, I mean, it's not just dumb people. That's all I'm saying. It just sounds completely fucking insane. Whoa, I didn't think of that with Apple. I believe we are in the end times. Look at the transgender bullcrap. I know, but that's happening. It's happening in Babylon, Rome, fucking San Fran in the 60s. It's like we can get out of it. God will give up on us again if we act like shit again, guys. He gave us free will so that we can have free will and not bitch out and say everything's the end times. God roots for us, but we fuck up all the time. Like, it's cowardly to say. I'm not calling you a coward, by the way, at all. I think about this shit all the time. It's cowardly to say it's the end times because it's not trying your best. It's not trying to do, that's not the plan. And then if it is, it is. LGBTQ and soon P manipulate child symbols for evil. I know, and I've been cutting at that Hydra head for a while, and I realize it does nothing. I've had comedy clips with millions of views where I get giant groups of people of all backgrounds to applaud and laugh their ass off as I dismantle LGBTQ, AIP. Nothing happens. Why do you think I'm so into like dismantling the wizardry now? I want people to get out of their fucking spells. Because someone under a spell. All right, JP is changing his clean your room catchphrase for his new audience to change your bong water. I mean, it's clean it's clean my penis. He's gonna have people clean his penis. Probably Dave Rubin. Well, the hour is late, and it's time I officially join the fight with the Bear Clan. Been growing with you and bears for a while. Might be verified as Psycho Ben Bear. Welcome, Psycho Ben Bear. Much love to you and the family. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, my friend. Flat Earth is a psyop that's being used to discredit geocentrism. Yeah, I thought about that too. I think Flat Earth is a psyop to discredit that we faked the moon landing. Because I've noticed that's a trigger. That I say we didn't go to the moon. So people say, oh, you probably think the Earth is flat. I'm like, no, you're not even related. I think that some really brilliant, almost psychotically open-minded people can think the Earth is flat. And I know I'll get shit for that, but I believe it to be true. Because what if it was? I mean, that's the biggest wizardry in the history of the world, by far. I mean, that's wizardry on a level that I just, I can't, I don't know how you do it. But like, imagine. But it's not true. The odds are 0.0001% that the Earth's flat. Why am I entertaining the idea? Because there's wizardry involved. I can't put my finger on it, but there's wizardry. There's wizardry about the shape of the solar system. There's a reason Neil deGrasse Tyson hated Pluto that much. There's a reason that Macron in France associates himself with a planet, and he was raped by his wife when he was 15. I just don't think it's that the Earth is flat. All right. Merry Christmas, Bears. You too. So awesome to have a brave voice again in the wilderness. Please, please. Yeah, I also don't want my head on a platter, though. So as much as I'm honored at the many, many comparisons I've had to John the Baptist, kind of don't want the head on the platter sitch, you know. Please check out A View from Space, Gary Bell. P.S. Hey, Georgie, give me a second. Toronto tour date? Soon, my friend. Have you ever looked into esoteric connection between Saturn worship and Judaism? Well, Judaism without Judaism believes in anything, and they're fucking awesome at being wizards. So that's why I always talk about non-Jewish Jews, because I don't want to sound Jew-hatey, because that really is a problem with like muzzies and actual skinheads and shit. But Jews without the Torah are a very dangerous little group because they're so good at words. They're the people of the book and wizardry, and they need to believe in something really intensely. They have a lot of schizophrenia in their DNA. Lots. You know, people can say, oh, they have a higher average IQ. Yeah, they also have a higher average, every type of mental illness you can imagine, including money hoarding. Oh, you're a Jew hate. No, I've had to deal with it in my own family and a lot of my friends' families and the biggest Ponzi schemes in the history of the world every time. The people who run the Federal Reserve, the stock market, Bernie Madoff, took down the NASDAQ. You know, I'm not coming out of nowhere, and those spells don't work on me. Have you ever, hey Owen, in the music I'm writing, may I include the storyline, stop watching porn and start watching conspiracy videos? Of course. That's the level I'm on these days, is take it all. Like, not that long ago, I was spiraling when someone else would do a joke of mine. I've seen through so many looking glasses at this point that I'm like, if you can get a laugh with one of my ideas, or if you can look cool at a party and make someone think about something, by all means. All right, we'll update on my progress, maybe verified as Theater Bear. Welcome, Theater Bear, but stay away from that sodomy in those theaters. Loving a man and putting things in your asshole are two very different things. Research Enki and Enlil. I'm just being honest, there's no way I'll remember that. 12 Rules is a great book, but Peterson ignores his advice. He's not shouldering his burden. He's dodging truth by being indecisive on faith. It's not a good book because he's never been true. Yeah, you should shoulder the burden. You want to know who came up with that idea? Jesus Christ. Want to know who came up with the idea of the line between good and evil splits a man's heart and goes all the way to hell? Young. Want to know who came up with the idea that socialism is bad and always ends in starvation and genocide? Solzhenitsyn. He's just picking and choosing powerful spells to convince vulnerable men that he's something he isn't. And it's fucking so annoying when people are like, hey, can you give it a rest with Peterson? You like my life. You like seeing my happy family, my fire, beer. Like, look at, if you're in that zone and your life sucks, know that it's not because I'm genetically better than you or was given some sort of education that you didn't have, or I'm white, or it's because if you want to stay a slave, you're going to stay a fucking slave. Look around your place right now. You live, in a one bedroom with a roommate, or like shit everywhere, or you haven't mowed your lawn, you haven't shoveled, so your tire tracks are starting to fucking look like. Try. Don't be a slave. That's the clean your room thing is true. That's why Peterson's such a fucking good wizard. Do you watch Black Pigeon Speaks? Of course, it's great. If you like the power of words, watch a master wordsmith in this video, Alan Moore, Language, Writing, and Music, and Magic. I'll check it out. Alan wrote Watchmen and V for Vendetta, Swamp Thing. Oh, well, Black Pilled just did an awesome one on Smallville. Not Smallville, Pleasantville. The incredible level of wizardry to make people, the baby boomers used to make people who wanted the 50s back, Happy Days and all that, like people wanted America back because it was degenerating. They made it bad. They made it oppressive so that they could destroy your society and your family unit and abort all your babies and make your money worth nothing and make you love them for it and make you call people like me who say that that's wrong and that we should stay strong and healthy and good. They make these people call me a Nazi. Bring George back. He's right here. Does God use evil for good? No. God lets people learn their lessons. God teaches lessons. God does corporal punishment. God burns dead wood. God does not do black magic. And I'm not a religious scholar, but I'm tuned in. That's the only way I can explain it. I'm not a religious scholar at all. I suck at that shit. Thanks to you, Owen Bears, I met my future husband. Hell yeah! When I saw Jordan live in Minnesota, some guy in the crowd got up and started saying everything Jordan talks about is from the John Birch Society. What do you think? It's from whatever he absorbs. Jordan Peterson doesn't exist. He's like American Psycho. He's a figment of your imagination. Your dog needs to pee. Let him out. That was a while ago. The way to know you're under a spell is when you have two ideas that can't be true. JBP uses CAA, which is pro-trans kids. That's when I first started not liking him. I didn't start attacking him until the Kavanaugh tweet because I knew from reliable sources that he was testing with Dr. Oz and he had to show them that he was down to destroy America. Wish I didn't have to go. See ya. Oh, hit the like button, share, hugepianist.com. Have some honey bear friend. Thank you. Long-time listener, first-time honey supporter. Thank you, Paul. Never any pressure. Take care of yourself first. Pay your bills. I don't need it. I mean, I do long term, but the people who support me get it. It's like support what you like when you have plenty, or you're just doing good, or you're on a good trajectory. You understand? Don't give me your last bit of money because because I'll give it back, and then we'll both lose the fucking percentage that these assholes take. Been with you since Sci-Fi Till It Hurts. Please look into Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson's theories about ancient civilizations being returned to the Stone Age after a cataclysmic comic impacts. I love those guys. And I love you for being with me since then. You're like one of the true guys because you're not political. Because since then, the people that support me and the buzz around me has changed so dramatically, but I haven't. Just want to say Merry Christmas. Stay true. Thanks. Owen Benjamin Parodies. Follow him. That dude's funny as fuck. I'm slurring my words. I'm so tired. So I'm just going to finish this. Keep being a wizard of love and truth to people, Big Bear. You bring a lot of joy in my life, even at the lowest. Blessings to all of yours onward. And the thing I'll tell you guys, and the thing that you can take away from this that makes me much, much different than Jordan Peterson, is I'm not helping you. You're helping yourself. And that's not a trick. If you're inspired by someone speaking truth in their weird setup, that means you have it in you and just grow it. That's all it is. As soon as you start thinking I'm helping you, you start growing weird. It's like, I know I compare a lot to trees because my tree work passed. But when a tree gets, when another tree's too close or something, it starts getting mangled. And I love your affection. I love your messages. I love you guys buying my shit and being bears. I'm not saying this because I don't want you guys to like me a lot. I just know it's bad for you if you're like, Owen made me good again. It's like, no, you made yourself good. And unless you know that, it won't work. Revelation, Jesus, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan. I know, people write me this all the time. That's right on the money. Sorry, I'm getting so tired. The Pacers own us. The Rothschilds are employees. Great, another level? Holy fuck, is the Earth really a trapezoid? I'm punch drunk from this shit. That's why I'm committed so hard to the moon. The M word. I can say nigger around some of my conservative friends, but not moon. The M word. You know, a lot of niggers have been talking about the M word. Fucking hypocrite retards. The Muslim faith was created by the fake Jews, aka the Jesuits. Now the Jesuits are Jews? Guys, I can't take any more. The Pacers, Owen. Rothschilds manage their assets. Soros is their PR firm. And the House of Saud controls their mercenaries. Look for their red shoes. Holy fuck. The thing that is terrifying me and making me feel like overwhelmed is I guarantee there's some truth in this. I used to think all you people were fucking insane. I used to think people who quoted the Bible were insane. Once you know that these are real pathways through the fucking maze. And by the way, you want to compare my trajectory currently with the people that are in the mainstream comedy that have condemned me as evil? Just look. Great house, stable family, beautiful family, growing people, great interaction with people, touring. I smile. It's like they're all fat, gay, self-hating people who don't know why they can fucking afford a helicopter. And they hate themselves for it. And then they hate white people because they're white. And then they hate men because they're men. And then they cuck to anybody that fucking acts like a muzzy. Judaism must be reformed. Watch Sex and Circumcision, an American love story. So intense. Hey, Big Bear, if you're a Joe Rogan debate a scientist on the moon landing before 2010 on Penn Jillette's podcast, it's an amazing debate on YouTube. You must watch it. Yeah, he used to say things that were true. That's why I don't call him evil. I just think he's a fucking short pussy. Yeah, he can beat me up. So what? I don't care. Oh, there's a lot of them. I'm just going to have to skim. Social engineering. I'm getting paid right now in overtime. Local government. Love your comedy. Here's some beer money. Thanks. Enjoy your snow day. I'm not mad at you guys. I'm mad at the top of the government that keeps fucking everybody. I think we need someone to reasonably politically position to have the courage to say, let's terminate human space flight. James Van Allen. I know, but then they have this fake bullshit saying Van Allen said that we could survive through the fucking Van Allen bat. I'm like, how many fingers did he have at the time? Was he bleeding? Like, where do you get... James Van Allen hated the fucking program. Hey, Big Bear, how do we stop this? Stop paying taxes until it's drained? No, then you end up in jail. Make families, teach children, keep the population larger than the wizards, speak truth, and they don't have the shit that you think they have. Not paying taxes plays right in their hand. Please go over the subject conformity. If you have this video, by the way, taxes are fucked up. Don't think that I'm saying that that's good, but that's the easiest way to just take you out of the whole thing. And that's not moral relativism either. That's our laws. And they're corrupt and all of that shit, but like, I want to kill pedophiles. There's laws against it. If as soon as I break off, I'm just the same tyrant. It's just I think I'm right. You don't want to pay taxes? I want to make a list of pedophiles and go to their fucking houses and cut all their throats. Not only would I not feel guilty about that, I want to so bad. But it's like that's how you lose. All right. My eyes are getting blurry. I can't read the long ones. Recommended reading to better understand our world. Nihilism, the root of the revolution in modern age. Oh, by the way, if you want, dude, read a book of magic tricks and substitute the motions with words. It's all right there. Is it not cowardly to believe in a savior? No. No, that's sorry, I'm getting pissed off again. Not man's fallen. See the apple that I filled in? We're not God. We're not the Son of God. We're fallen. There's no human savior. I think I have brain damage from the lack of sleep. Merry Christmas, Big Bear. Merry Christmas to you. Please reference the occult law of reversal, Aleister Crowley. Yeah, someone sent me that book. I don't really want to read it, though. You stare at the abyss long enough, it looks back. And I'm fine fighting monsters, but I don't want to read Crowley. I don't want to read... I read Rules for Radicals, and I don't know, man. There's something real dark in that shit. Because I know the broad strokes about what they do, so I can recognize it. I don't want to... Because you know the book's a spell itself. Please reference the occult law... Salute your journey, speaking out on a grand scale. Thank you, Brian. Your courage is inspiring. Been watching a lot of your streams. I'm from Denmark, so Viking Bear. Welcome, Viking Bear. A nation, a nationality so powerful. You guys rowed a boat across the entire fucking ocean, fucked and killed everybody, rowed back, and didn't even tell anyone you went. And then when that butt boy, Christopher Colombo... Good guy. I'm not mocking the guy. There's too much hate on that guy. 600 years later, he does it. Everyone names everything after him. The Vikings were like, yeah, we went there. You know, we killed and we fucked and, you know, fuck it. Hey, bud, not a bear, but I need to donate something. Support. Yeah, you can be bear adjacent. The bear thing started in a very funny way and is now just kind of fun. You can just be a dude. But taxes are illegal per the Constitution, the Act of 1871. But what about the one during World War I about the federal income tax? That old Woodrow Wilson got us to agree because they said, oh, it's only for a short amount of time, and now it's law. I don't know. 17,000 aborted babies found in shipping container. These are called blood sacrifices, ladies and gentlemen, to their god of Satan. And as impossible as it is, don't let it get you too emotional. And you guys know how impossible that is. But live it. Like, don't be the demon they want you to be until it's like tipping point level. Then we can do some shit. But until then, you're only going to fortify them. It's just like the PSYOP stuff. It's like make it almost believable so people like run back. Like that synagogue shooting and all that stuff. It'll just give these fucking assholes more ammo. That's why it's just strength, truth, work, family. They can't touch you. And spread the word about how wizardry is used. And then when the shit starts really crumbling, then you write some new laws. I know I want to propose in the new government that acts of pedophilia are a capital punishment that get to be carried out by the father of the child. And anyone who questions it is also, see, that's where I have problems. I'm too connected to that one. In the new government, but that's the thing though, is like you can't start, it's almost like starting a relationship off cheating. Well, let's say we know something's completely wrong. Like we know some of these people need to die, right? We all know who. Morally, they should be put down like animals and let God work it out. As soon as we do that, it's like starting a relationship from infidelity. It can't go well because we're fallen. So as soon as we go against that principle of rule of law to inflict our rule of law because we feel like it's better, just know you planted the seeds of your own demise. And as much as I want to go door to door with a machete and murder pedophiles in their sleep while they're awake, you know, on a live stream, confirmed, not, no rumors. I'm talking about, guys, you don't know how, a lot of you know. I'm talking about the human trafficking fucking pedos that are right out there, and they're being protected by the very people we give our money to. I can't wait to kill them. I never will unless it's legal. I don't want that to be misinterpreted. Because I know how to win long term. If I were to do that, everything I stood for would be turned to dust. But good Lord, would that be awesome. I'm being a little too open right now. All right. But all right, so I'm just gonna check on COD one last time to see if he uploaded the fucking thing. HugePianist.com. Get the new special that's dropping right now. I'm going to go have breakfast with my people. I know this is a very unexpected, bizarre hour and extremely long talk about Wizardry, but fuck did that feel good. And I really think I just armed some motherfuckers with some knowledge. It's the ultimate. It's to be not into Wizardry. The fact that I guarantee that there's like legitimate, like good chunk of people out there that can now see through lies. This was all worth it. And it makes me feel fucking great. I'm actually a wizard. We're all capable of it. We're all capable of making our own map of meaning, which simply just means self-delusion. Good chat, bud. Yeah, you too. Give me some honest feedback in the chat. Was this too long, too rambly? Because I trust the chat right now. There's no trolls. I realize the trolls aren't awake right now. Any feedback? Constructive. I trust you guys right now to be constructive. I won't take offense. I know the difference between wizards and help. Oh, and you're being shadow banned. 100%. All they did is make me stronger, though, and more connected to you guys. There's more people watching this live stream than watch Ben Shapiro's live stream. And he gets unlimited funding. And that's not a knock at him, but like, I'll watch his live stream and it's at like 1,500 people. And they spend like millions on advertising and branding. And he says K-word, N-word, P-word, V-word and shit. So that like Birch Gold doesn't get pissed. And I'm like, I doubled that at fucking 6 a.m. rambling about fucking wizards. Do people not know that you can't beat it? Go ahead and try. Please, shame me. Show me how. It's a fucking joke. I'm worried about you. Oh, really? That's what they said when I was talking about trans kids. Look at my history. Look at my predictive ability. Look at the consistent way I speak, tell jokes. Figure out your own spells. That's what I've done. I don't trust myself in an argument to know if Amy's disrespecting me or not. I don't. And so, like, the fact that I've acknowledged that has helped our marriage. Concern troll, I know, but concern trolls can be in unexpected places. And it's like, I'm a good dude and a good friend. But, dude, I was shaped in a really, really, really intense environment. And I'm so not into the victim. That's why when people are like, oh, you're such a victim, you're always complaining. No, standing up for stuff isn't being a victim. It's, in fact, the opposite. That's wizardry. All the fake victims, all the Hillary Clinton, I'm standing up for the blacks and the women so that we will not have corruption with taxes. She's exporting kids out of Haiti to get fucked and murdered. She's worth $300 million from a fucking scam where, like, Saudi princes would pay her so that they could bomb people. I'm so against being a victim that I don't do that spell. And I think people would be pretty fucking blown away at some of the shit I've endured and kept my soul through in my life that doesn't define me, that doesn't give me any strength. Being a victim is not virtue. Shit's gonna happen to you, and I got empathy, and I'll love you and be there for you, but like, that's another upside down wizard. It's like victim doesn't mean credible. David Hogg just got into Harvard with a 1200 IQ. Meanwhile, all these Japs and chinks have perfect scores. You see what I did there? I'm complimenting them, but insulting them to create a funny thing. Like they have to go to like a community college because Asians are so fucking smart. Meanwhile, David Hogg goes in. What's his credit? His credit is he's a survivor. Of course, he's not, and that's not a credit. Being around a bunch of people who got shot does not mean anything. That doesn't mean you're credible. It doesn't mean you're an expert. It doesn't mean you're good. It means you need love, support, help. My heart bleeds, man. But you'll never hear, when people call me a victim and whiny and shit, I'm like, upside down wizards. If you knew the shit I've been through, you wouldn't even make eye contact with me out of fear. It's just not relevant. And I don't like when people look at you different. Like, oh, poor you. I want people to look at me like I'm strong. Why the fuck would anyone want to look at you at the moments you're the most hurt? I have no interest in that. Why? Because it opens doors in Wizardland. I was raped. Well, here you go. Have some gold. I was raped. Here you go. No. No. All right. Hey, Owen, literally watched every one of your videos today. It was awesome. I know now why I can't stand some leaders in my job. They're using Wizardry, just never figured out until today. Yeah, and here's the ultimate tactic. Win. Don't just point out the Wizardry and martyr yourself, unless you're a comedian, because it's funny the whole ride. Win. That's how you really fuck them up. That's why Vox Day is such a valuable resource. When he talks about alpha, beta, gamma, all the types of males, he's not saying like figure out what you are and talk about it. It's like figure out what motivates people, who they are, where they are in the hierarchy, and know what and how to act. Don't manipulate, but just know what they are. Know what you can trust with them. Know how to not be hurt by them. And that's the real shit. That's the real survivor shit with wizards. You know, you gotta, like play to win. Like if I just was like, I'll let you give you a little inside baseball and how I construct my my thoughts here. And again, this isn't lies. This is me being a fun wizard. Okay. If I had just been like, Whitney, because George, I'm coming in. Because Whitney Cummings called me a white supremacist, a white power guy and all this shit. If I had just been like, she's a hypocrite, she's a nobody, fuck her, and I just went on this big rant and then never talked about it again, she wins. You want to know what you do as a fun wizard? You think, what does she hate about herself? What's hiding in plain sight? Her face. All that work, all the Botox, all the melted candle, right? And I tried not to do this for a little bit. I tried to listen to Joe Rogan. He's so wrong. I literally tried to not do this. No, this is exactly what you do. So one of the reasons that these people fuck their face up is so you can't read their emotions. It's wizard tactic. It's like sharks and women with Botox. You can never tell if they're going to bite you. Ah, that's a good line. That's why I ramble. I ramble to create. But melted candle face is so catchy and so true. Her face looks like a melted candle. It's an exaggeration. It's playful. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And it's fun. So now, Whitney Cummings is going to think twice about doing this because almost every one of her posts, people call her melted candle face. I started that. It's like rental property. It just lives. I don't even have to think about it. Now, every day, because Whitney Cummings has mocked her appearance and made fun of her face, and don't you think I know? That's all that they're showing you what hurts them. And I'm not doing it because I delight in pain. I'm doing it because you have to have zero tolerance for people who try to destroy your name through wizardry. Calling me a Nazi justifies killing me. Punch a Nazi. Owen's a Nazi. Quick logic proof. Punch Owen. When people say I'm a bigot and a racist, You empower people to feel virtuous as they beat me possibly to death. I watched on the Night for Freedom as Antifa strangled a man almost to death right there. So I take it very seriously. And so the thing is I want to make sure they never do it again. And I make sure they think twice about the next person they do it. And you don't do it by saying, you're a racist. It doesn't work on them. Because that isn't a wizard spell that works well with their wizard spells. They've indoctrinated their retard class so well that doesn't possibly enter their mind. Because all they've done is saved the blacks with their low-income housing and their crack. These people are so shallow and so empty and so broken that superficial shit is the biggest insult. Calling Joe Rogan short is so much more hurtful than calling him like a hypocrite and he's lost, he's a shill. He doesn't care. He hates being short. Look at him. I don't give a fuck if you're 5'6". I can tell if you hate that you're 5'6". I can tell if you don't love having a big shiny head and you're not quite as smart as your friends. I know what fucking like makes his gears turn. It also probably makes him laugh because he's still masculine. Like when you call him a little guy, he knows it's funny and he'll probably laugh. He fucking hates it. He would wear heels if he could. People that, just looking at his cars and his acting like a ninja, like he's like 65 years old playing ninja. He's 5'6". Want to know something funny? He's actually 5'7". You really want to fuck with someone? Lower it 1 inch. I do it to Nimmer all the time. So letting you know. 1 inch. Because then they're like, but I'm 5'7". And then they're justifying below average height with pride. And then the following shame wave. Boom! Same with Bert Kreischer. He doesn't like being bisexual and fat. Look at how hard he works out. He doesn't like being fat. He tries to own it by mocking it, taking his shirt off. That's called flooding. It's a psychological tactic where, it's like when a rape victim becomes very promiscuous. It's like, I'll fuck everybody because I don't want to be touched. Bert hates being fat. He hates being jiggly. He was a real man once from the South. He knows what it would feel like to feel free, grass under your feet, a family that respects you. Out of LA, he yearns for it. But he won't admit it because he's addicted to that drip. Hates being fat. He's bisexual only to please masters. I don't think he craves cock, but I think he'd do anything to get ahead and please. He's a pleaser. He's a giggler. He'll take his shirt off and giggle and drink a beer just to make someone happy. You don't think he'd suck a dick? Take a dick in his asshole to get a Netflix special? He's jiggly. There's no value. So when he did that joke on me, tried to do that shit, call me racist, after he was silent when I was getting annihilated. Guys, I was waiting to attack these people. The deafening silence as their good friend and podcast partner was being called a Nazi on Yahoo.com and being deplatformed on everything. Their silence was the statement. And I was like, fuck you all for this. But guess what? At that point, I can't get mad at people. I can't be like, why don't you stand up for me? Why don't you stand up for me? Why don't you stand up for me? Because then I sound like a whiny bitch. I had to just take that. But I was waiting. I was waiting for him to say one fucking negative thing about me on any podcast. And then I was just going to annihilate them. And people were like, he only said one thing. He said a lot of not things. As he was apologizing for the white race and calling cartoons racist, as I know for a fact he knows that's all lies so he can get money and he can get fatter and he can hate his gut and suck dicks and take Rogan's dick and whatever is necessary. He'll embarrass his children in jokes just to get laughs, to show he breaks all the rules because he's Crota. That's how you go after someone with real wizard shit. You don't freak out. And when you're passionate, okay, I freak out and I'm very direct and ranty about real fucking problems. Like, don't make a joke out of child rape or don't be like, really? So now we're raping kids? That's when you say, this is a problem. You speak clearly. There's no sarcasm. Direct. When you're dealing with other wizards who are fat bisexuals trying to call you Nazis, figure out what hurts them. Twist it so they never do it to anyone else again. I haven't heard Bert Kreischer call anyone else racist. Have you? I haven't heard Whitney Cummings call any of us any of this shit anymore. She thinks Melted Candleface was bad. That was fucking intro to Wizardry. I could make her life a walking insecurity. Because empty people are so easy to crack their code. It's like, Rogan can't have enough alpha brain to get us smart enough to talk to Russell, that dude that you just mentioned about the Great Flood. He can't have enough fucking kettlebell swings to be able to ride a roller coaster. He's 5'6". That's where it's at. You don't go, he sells out stadiums. I don't value that. Want to know what fucks me up? Is if anyone calls me a liar. That's what I value. That's what you want to fuck up. I'm telling you this because I'm so committed to not lying. So take my weapons. You want to fuck me up? Call me a liar or tell me that like I just see, like something like that, because that's what I value. What these idiots in LA value is having a nice body, having money, having a face that doesn't look like a shark fucked a melted candle. It's so sad. And when you see what hurts people, you see who they really are. You take their toys away. And they, I can't lie and say, part of me doesn't enjoy the takedowns. Wizard 101, guys. All right, I'm out. I've lost my mind officially. I just revealed pretty much and I feel great about it. Because that's the thing, I want you guys to know this shit. It's just, if you just tell people and they don't understand it, you sound crazy. But I think after 3 hours and 15 minutes, you can understand exactly what I'm talking about. Imagine if I tried to just do a real quick thing about how to break Whitney Cummings' spirit by calling her a melted candle face and why. You'd have no idea what I'm talking about. I would sound crazy. You'd be like, unsubscribe. But when you really, really understand how wizardry and spells work, how you can't have tolerance for people calling you names that can get you killed, and how to fight back without making an enemy for them. CNN needs an enemy. That's why they make pipe bombs and shit. They don't have enough. Me and Vox Day are not fucking racists. Sorry. And they're trying. They want it so bad. But of course, what's going to happen is they're going to meet actual. What's it called? What was Hitler and Richard Spencer? White imperialists. None of us are that, but that's possible. Want to keep turning the screws, making it justify? It's kind of like if you know someone was abused their whole childhood by someone, like bad, and they killed him and burned their house down. You're like, all right. But if you just see a guy kill a guy and burn his house down, you're like, that's evil, right? Picture that with like white identitarianism. And in the bad way, not in like we're all, I love my heritage, America, stop flooding us with fucking weirdos. I'm talking about like the real deal. Someone's like, I won't let anyone who isn't white in my house. I will never mix, all that shit. And I'll even say, go ahead and take this out of context and quote me. People will come see if I'm really this racist, find me hilarious, and I'll get even more subscribers. I don't give a fuck. I don't get why people are like, I'm not going to say this because people will take it out of context. It's like, but then people will see context or they'll hate you anyway. All right, I'm coming with you. Yeah. All right, under 5 minutes. I'm just wrapping up. I'm going to a birthday breakfast. No idea what I was just talking about. Oh, yeah. Okay, so the killing of the pedophile and the burning of the house, when you know the backstory, if you didn't know, let's say in 100 years, you then find out that for like a century, everyone blamed everything on white males, and it was like they couldn't have any heritage, and they were always depicted as like dipshits, even though they founded the country, and like just constant. And then they had to pay all the taxes and got none of the benefits, and then they just kept being called racist and bigots. And then they started losing rights, because that's coming. If we accept this, they start wearing stars and shit, and oh no, this is a hate-free zone. No whites allowed. And you're like, okay. And then you find out some whites were like, you know what? You're all going to die. You're like, that's bad, but I fucking get it. That's why you really have to understand the communist role in making Adolf Hitler and World War I's role. Not defending him, but you get it. All right, hit like, share. PayPal.me/feedthebear if you want to feed that bear. Hugepianist.com for the new special dropping today. I'm very proud of it. And if for the 2,500 people that have stayed with me for 3 hours and 20 minutes, you're going to love it. It's called Conspiracy Queries. And subscribe, hit the alert button. Let's get me over 200,000 today if we can, despite a vicious shadow ban. Even when you tell YouTube you want to be alerted to my streams, they say, no, we know more than you. And please, God, beat the Wizards. Be good. Be fruitful and multiply. Bye-bye. I love you guys.